हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। तो आज इसका नेक्स्ट पार्ट मैं लेके आ चुका गाइस और ये लास्ट पार्ट होगा गाइस, क्योंकि अब इसका नॉवल ख़त्म हो चुका है गाइस। तो इसका लास्ट पार्ट होगा गाइस। अगर आप इसी तरह के इसी के नॉवेल्स को जानना चाहते हैं, इसी राइटर का, तो आप मुझे कमेंट कीजिए गाइस, क्योंकि इसका और बाकी सब भी नॉवल बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग है, जो मैंने फर्स्ट चैनल में मैंने अपलोड भी किया था गाइस। तो अगर आपको चाहिए होगा गाइस तो मुझे कमेंट कीजिएगा। चलिए बिना किसी देरी के चलिए शुरुआत करते हैं।
Chapter 61, Attack from both sides, the bound to lose agility attack system spirit ancestor. Niu Chen, what on earth is going on with this guy? Is it really this much trouble to deal with a child soul master? Lian said angrily while parrying Yan's attacks. He took a moment to look toward Niu Chen's position, just about to say something when he witnessed a scene he would never forget for the rest of his life. He saw Lin Feng suddenly manifest his spirit, and two menacing black spirit rings abruptly bloomed as he launched an attack at Niu Chen. Ha ha ha, Divine Wind Team, you didn't expect this, did you? The child soul master you never considered an opponent is actually the Spirit Hall Team's trump card and ultimate move. He is our Spirit Hall Team's true ace in the hole, Yan said with extreme smugness, looking at Niu Chen, who lay collapsed on the ground, completely incapacitated. The situation had now reversed. He only needed to wait for Lin Feng to come and support him in defeating Lian, and the Spirit Hall Team would have secured most of the victory. Lian's face was filled with shock and disbelief. Gritting his teeth, he said, a 10,000-year spirit ring. How is that possible, and why is he a Spirit Grandmaster? What exactly is going on? It's fake, it's all fake. How could our Divine Wind Team lose? We have 4 Spirit Ancestors, 4 whole Spirit Ancestors. He could neither accept nor believe the sight before him. That child soul master was actually a Spirit Grandmaster, and one with two 10,000-year spirit rings at that. How could such a shocking thing even exist? His excellent education at the Spirit Master Academy told him this was impossible. How could anyone at this age absorb a 10,000-year spirit ring, let alone 2 of them? It was impossible. Their Divine Wind Team could not lose. Lian, nothing is impossible. The moment your defense system Spirit Ancestor fell, your Divine Wind Team had already lost. Give up. 3 Spirit Ancestors are no match for our Spirit Hall Team, and Lin Feng is a Spirit Grandmaster with two 10,000-year spirit rings. Once he comes to support me, you will fall completely, Yan said arrogantly. With Lin Feng defeating Niu Chen, the Spirit Hall Team had already entered the cleanup phase. Once they defeated Lian, the Divine Wind Team would be like grasshoppers in autumn, on their last legs. I won't accept this. Why? Why is it that the Spirit Hall Team always wins in the end? I refuse to accept it. Is the Spirit Hall Team truly invincible? I don't believe it. Even if he has two 10,000-year spirit rings, he's still just a Spirit Grandmaster. Just you wait. Once I finish him off, I'll come back to finish you, Lian said with a contorted, furious expression. 4th Spirit Skill, Shadow Evasion. A purple 1,000-year spirit ring suddenly bloomed. Lian kicked Yan away and instantly transformed into a black mist. Moving with lightning speed, he charged toward Lin Feng. It was because of this little kid that the Divine Wind Team's advantage had vanished. Why did such a monster have to appear in the Spirit Hall Team? It wasn't that their Divine Wind Team was weak, but that the Spirit Hall Team had a literal monster, a monster he couldn't comprehend, one who could absorb 10,000-year spirit rings at this age. But after all, the opponent was currently only a Spirit Grandmaster, while he was a powerful Spirit Ancestor. If he launched a sudden attack, what power could the boy possibly have to block it? Little brat, it's all because of you. It's because of you that our Divine Wind Team has ended up in this state. A monster like you shouldn't even exist here. We clearly could have defeated the Spirit Hall Team. You damn brat, Lian roared. Brother Lin Feng, watch out for this guy. His spirit is the Shadow Demon Wolf. He's an agility attack system Spirit Ancestor, far beyond what a defense system Spirit Ancestor can compare to. Yan warned. Lian was too fast for him to intercept, so he could only pray that Lin Feng would be able to dodge the attack upon hearing his warning. Hey, an agility attack system Spirit Ancestor. Are they really that strong? Hearing the voice, Lin Feng turned his head and immediately raised his hand. His first spirit skill, Holy Light Impact, was suddenly unleashed with full power. A golden pillar of light erupted from his palm, rapidly consuming his spirit power as it shot toward the charging Lian. Ha 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 ha, the power of a 10,000-year spirit ring. I truly want to experience it, but unfortunately, little brat, did you think I would just take your attack head on? Ridiculous. Agility attack system Spirit Masters far surpass other systems in terms of speed. We are the fastest. As he spoke, Lian, still in the form of black mist, swerved and flipped, dodging the attack and arriving right in front of Lin Feng. HMPH. Without hesitation, Lin Feng raised the Holy Sword of Order in his right hand to block. Clang. Lian's wolf claw struck the Holy Sword of Order as if hitting a solid block of iron. It didn't cause even the slightest ripple. The entire attack felt as if it had vanished into the ocean. This weapon, something's wrong with it, Lian said in shock. Even the finest weapon should show some reaction when struck, but the weapon in Lin Feng's hand was extremely unusual. Just as he quickly retracted his sharp claws, his long nails snapped clean in half. Brother Lin Feng, now. First spirit skill, Hell Magma Burst. Yan, who had rushed over, immediately unleashed his spirit ability to attack, giving Lian no time to react. First spirit skill, Holy Light Impact. Seizing the moment of Lian's brief phase, Lin Feng immediately unleashed his spirit ability. However, releasing this 10,000-year spirit skill at full power again made him clearly feel that his spirit power was about to run dry. But it didn't matter. If he missed this perfect opportunity and let Lian recover, it would be difficult to take down an agility attack system loach like him. I can't lose. Lian snapped back to his senses, but there was no longer any time to dodge the two attacks. Caught in a pincer movement, he had nowhere to retreat. Most critically, Lin Feng was the closest to him, and in the blink of an eye, the attack had already landed on his body. The two attacks, the Golden Holy Light Impact, a 10,000-year spirit skill, and the Red Hell Magma Burst, a 100-year spirit skill, completely engulfed Lian. A miserable scream echoed across the Douluo arena. When the dust finally settled, Lian was lying on the ground, unconscious. Compared to the defense system Spirit Ancestor Niu Chen, Lian, the agility attack system Spirit Ancestor, had sustained much more severe damage and was completely blacked out. The healing system Spirit Master team from off-field immediately entered, taking away the incapacitated Lian to begin treatment, along with the already unconscious Niu Chen. Huff, huff, huff. Yan panted heavily, but a smile beamed on his face as his body finally relaxed. Two Spirit Ancestors, they had finally defeated them. Chapter 62, The Death Struggles of the Divine Wind Team. In the stands, the entire audience was pale with shock. All the students held their breath, staring wide-eyed and speechless at the two fallen Spirit Ancestors. In the short time since Lin Feng used his spirit, two Spirit Ancestors had been defeated one after another. The scales of victory had completely tilted toward the Spirit Hall Team. His still to the Spirit Hall Team is incredible. Even 4 Spirit Ancestors couldn't defeat them. I think by next year, the overall strength of the Spirit Hall Team will reach another height. By then, the Spirit Hall team might win the Golden Class Soul Master competition for several consecutive sessions. Until all the members of the Spirit Hall team graduate, this period belongs to the era of the Spirit Hall team. No one would have thought that the Spirit Hall team's true trump card isn't the Spirit Fusion skill, Ghostly Phantoms, but the Child Soul Master we ignored. This Child Soul Master has a hard weapon in these two 10,000-year Spirit Rings. He has already given us enough shock. Even if something more ridiculous happens, I'll accept it. It can be said for certain that this year's Golden Class Soul Master competition is the most ornamental competition. The challengers, the Divine Wind team, have 4 Spirit Ancestor members. The defending champions, the Spirit Hall team, have the Spirit Fusion skill, Ghostly Phantoms, which can rival 2 Spirit Ancestors, and even a Spirit Master with 2 10,000-year Spirit Rings. The shock this brings far exceeds previous Golden Class Soul Master competitions. On the Douluo Arena. Yan laughed arrogantly, exciting, truly exciting. So what if they're Spirit Ancestors? So what if there are 4 of them? Didn't they still lose to our hands? Our Spirit Hall team is indeed invincible. In the entire Spirit Master Academy, which team is a match for our Spirit Hall team? Who can be our opponent? Who can defeat us? Before defeating these 2 Spirit Ancestors, his spirit had remained tightly strong. He was afraid the plan would fail in the end, but when they defeated those 2 Spirit Ancestors, he couldn't help but want to vent the emotions in his heart. It was hard, truly hard. If not for Brother Lin Feng, it would have been impossible for them to achieve victory. But there were no ifs, the final result was the same as their plan. Now they only needed to enter the mist and defeat the remaining 2 Spirit Ancestors, and that would be the moment the Spirit Hall team claimed victory. Brother Lin Feng, can you still fight? Yan said to Lin Feng with a smile. Hearing this, Lin Feng looked at Yan and nodded. I can still do it, but my spirit power consumption is a bit high. A 10,000-year spirit skill is indeed not something a Spirit Grandmaster like me can easily handle. I definitely won't be able to perform a 10,000-year spirit skill at full power again. It doesn't matter. Anyway, only those 2 Spirit Ancestors in the mist are left. Let's go in now and help Nana and the others share the pressure. Let's deal with those 3 Soul Elders first. The remaining 2 Spirit Ancestors will just be struggling at death's door. The final victory belongs to our Spirit Hall team. This glory doesn't belong to any one person, but to all of us. Yan said with a smile. For the Spirit Hall team, with 3 Soul Elders and 1 Spirit Grandmaster, to be able to achieve victory against the Divine Wind team, a nearly full-strength team with 4 Spirit Ancestors and 3 Soul Elders, is something that can be recorded in the history books. Let's go in and help Sister Nana and the others, Lin Feng said to Yan after adjusting his state. After speaking, the 2 walked directly into the mist. Upon entering the mist, Lin Feng instantly felt his vision drop, his senses suppressed, his spirit power under pressure, and his mobility restricted. It could be said that within the mist, there was all-around suppression. In a soul fight, this ability of Yao Mei was simply overpowered. The moment Lin Feng and Yan stepped into the mist, Yao Mei, as the creator of the mist, sensed their arrival and appeared directly beside Lin Feng, asking, Brother Lin Feng, have you already dealt with those 2 Spirit Ancestors outside? Having said that, she simultaneously lifted the restrictions on Lin Feng and Yan. The sudden appearance of Yao Mei didn't startle Lin Feng. He answered truthfully, Sister Nana, we've already dealt with those 2 Spirit Ancestors according to the plan. We came in to help you and Big Brother Xiaoyu. I wonder how the situation is on your side, Sister Nana. Hearing this, Gui Mei shook his head slightly with a bitter expression. The situation isn't very ideal. This Divine Wind team's captain, this support system vice captain, and these 3 Spirit Ancestors are quite strong. They are grouped together, and with the support of the support system Spirit Ancestor, it's impossible for us to separate them and take them down one by one. We don't even have a chance, let alone defeat them. But that doesn't matter. At least our plan was successful. You've already defeated the 2 Spirit Ancestors outside, and the Divine Wind team trapped in the mist is just facing a slow death. Now I have lifted the mist restrictions on you too. Attack now, create an opportunity for us, and completely break their formation. After speaking, Yao Mei leapt up and left, arriving at a position not far from the Divine Wind team. Lin Feng looked into the distance. The Divine Wind team's captain, the captain of Divine Wind team, and the 3 Spirit Ancestors were protecting the support system Spirit Ancestor in the very center, like a total iron tortoise. No wonder there was no opportunity. A support system Spirit Master can play a huge role in a soul fight. If the support system Spirit Master isn't dealt with at the beginning, the difficulty of defeating them will skyrocket once they release their buff spirit abilities. The following is a copy of the above. I will post it once I finish writing. The sudden appearance of Yao Mei didn't startle Lin Feng. He answered truthfully, Sister Nana, we've already dealt with those 2 Spirit Ancestors according to the plan. We came in to help you and Big Brother Xiaoyu. I wonder how the situation is on your side, Sister Nana. Hearing this, Gui Mei shook his head slightly with a bitter expression. The situation isn't very ideal. This Divine Wind team's captain, this support system vice captain, and these 3 Spirit Ancestors are quite strong. They are grouped together, and with the support of the support system Spirit Ancestor, it's impossible for us to separate them and take them down one by one. We don't even have a chance, let alone defeat them. But that doesn't matter. At least our plan was successful. You've already defeated the 2 Spirit Ancestors outside, and the Divine Wind team trapped in the mist is just facing a slow death. Now I have lifted the mist restrictions on you too. Attack now, create an opportunity for us, and completely break their formation. After speaking, Yao Mei leapt up and left, arriving at a position not far from the Divine Wind team. Lin Feng looked into the distance. The Divine Wind team's captain, the captain of Divine Wind team, and the 3 Spirit Ancestors were protecting the support system Spirit Ancestor in the very center, like a total iron tortoise. No wonder there was no opportunity. A support system Spirit Master can play a huge role in a soul fight. If the support system Spirit Master isn't dealt with at the beginning, the difficulty of defeating them will skyrocket once they release their buff spirit abilities. Chapter 63, Divine Wind team's formation collapses. Everyone, we must hold on until Niu Chen and Lian arrive. The final victory will belong to our Divine Wind team. We will use our own hands to bring the glory and honor of the Golden Class teacher position to our mentor. The Spirit Hall team is powerful, that's true. Yao Mei is powerful, that's true. But we have 4 Spirit Ancestors. Look, from the moment we entered the mist until now, Yao Mei has launched multiple attacks against us, but so what? Can they defeat us? The captain of Divine Wind team smiled triumphantly, not forgetting to cheer up the other members. At this moment, he was very clear that they were in danger. If Yao Mei caught the right moment to completely break their formation and separate them, with Yao Mei's strength, they could be defeated one by one. But fortunately, when Yao Mei released the mist, he quickly organized the members to form a solid fortress, blocking Yao Mei's attacks time and again, protecting the vice captain of their Divine Wind team. As long as the vice captain was there to continuously apply buffing spirit abilities. If Yao Mei wanted to defeat them in a short time, they would have to pay a huge price. The captain is right, it's impossible for Yao Mei to defeat us. As long as we hold on until Niu Chen and Lian come to help us, victory will belong to our Divine Wind team. Haven't we practiced hard all these years just for today? Vice Captain Liu Yaya said. The other 3 Spirit Elder members also nodded one after another. The 2 captains were right, they just needed to hold on. They firmly believed that Niu Chen and Lian would soon come to help them, because outside, the Spirit Hall team only had one Spirit Elder and one Child Soul Master. And Niu Chen and Lian were two powerful Spirit Ancestors. Defeating Yan, that Spirit Elder, and the Child Soul Master was only a matter of time. The Spirit Hall team was merely struggling at death's door, a slow death. Hey, when our Divine Wind team brings out 4 Spirit Ancestors, the Spirit Hall team is just struggling at death's door, a slow death. The captain of Divine Wind team said with a smile. Gui Mei, who was listening to the Divine Wind team's conversation not far away, furrowed his brows. If it were truly as the Divine Wind team said, their Spirit Hall team indeed had no hope of victory. Unfortunately, the Divine Wind team had calculated everything but failed to realize that the Spirit Hall team's true trump card was Brother Lin Feng. Although Brother Lin Feng was only a Spirit Grandmaster, he had absolutely no problem defeating a defense-type Spirit Ancestor. And that was indeed the reality. Brother Lin Feng and Yan launch the final attack. Defeat them and end the battle as quickly as possible. The martial soul fusion skill consumes a lot of our spirit power, Yao Mei said to the arriving Lin Feng and Yan. First spirit skill, Hell Magma Rush. Arriving a few meters away from the Divine Wind team members, Yan launched an attack directly. Hearing the voice, the captain of Divine Wind team furrowed his brows and said in shock, this is Yan's spirit ability from the Spirit Hall team. Why is he here? Could it be that Niu Chen and Lian failed? That's impossible. Perhaps Yan knew he couldn't defeat Lian and Niu Chen and retreated into this mist to take a defensive position. Divine Wind team member, Spirit Elder Chen Shi, saw Yan's attack and shouted, first spirit skill, Bull Trample. 100-year spirit ring suddenly bloomed. He raised his leg and stomped hard on the ground. The ground instantly cracked, and a giant rock appeared in front of them. Boom tilde. The two attacks collided, making a deafening sound and canceling each other out. Spirit Hall team, stop struggling. Since this Yan entered here, it seems the outside is extremely unfavorable for him. Thinking about it, we have 2 Spirit Ancestors outside. How could a mere Spirit Elder like Yan block 2 Spirit Ancestors? Surrender, Spirit Hall team. The captain of Divine Wind team raised his voice. What makes you think our Spirit Hall team entered here because the outside was unfavorable? Why couldn't it be that our Spirit Hall team defeated those 2 Spirit Ancestors from your Divine Wind team and came in here to help Gui Mei? Yan's voice echoed around. First spirit skill, Holy Light Amplification. Lin Feng, who had reached the left side of the Divine Wind team, suddenly launched an attack. A 10,000-year spirit ring blossomed, though the power of this attack was far less than it would be at full strength. On the left, Divine Wind team member Spirit Elder Qin Feng instantly released his spirit ability, first spirit skill, Divine Wind Slash. A 100-year spirit ring blossomed. He waved his arms, and several Divine Wind Slashes met the incoming attack head-on. However, what he didn't know was that Lin Feng's first spirit skill had the power of a 10,000-year spirit skill. Boom tilde. The golden light instantly washed away the Divine Wind Slashes. Under Qin Feng's stunned gaze, it suddenly arrived in front of him. With a bang, the golden light hit Qin Feng. His eyes rolled back, and he completely lost consciousness. As he blacked out, he was still wondering how the opponent's first spirit skill could be so powerful. Qin Feng, the captain of Divine Wind team, said in shock. Now that their formation had a gap, if Yao Mei attacked now, their Divine Wind team would be in danger. But what they feared most happened. Yao Mei seized the moment Qin Feng lost consciousness, suddenly appeared in front of him, grabbed Qin Feng's neck, and threw him away, completely disappearing from the Divine Wind team's sight. But Yao Mei's attack didn't stop. He grabbed Vice Captain Lu Yaya's neck and leapt away. Veins popped on the captain of Divine Wind team's forehead as he roared, Yao Mei. Fourth spirit skill, Blazing Flame Vajra Roar. He immediately released his strongest spirit ability, aiming at where Yao Mei had left. The roar of the Blazing Flame Vajra Bear echoed around. Unfortunately, he received no response to this attack, and it eventually vanished into nothingness. Their vice captain, Lu Yaya, was also nowhere to be found. Haha tilde give up, captain of Divine Wind team. Your Divine Wind team has already lost. Your 2 members outside have been defeated by our Spirit Hall team. Otherwise, why would they come here to help me? Up until now, have you seen your 2 members? Gui Mei's mocking voice appeared around the captain of Divine Wind team. He couldn't determine Gui Mei's position. In the mist, his senses were suppressed, his spirit power was suppressed, his speed was suppressed, he was suppressed in every aspect. The captain of Divine Wind team clenched his fists, veins bulging. How could he believe such nonsense? A Spirit Elder and a Child Soul Master defeating 2 Spirit Ancestors from their Divine Wind team. Was that even possible? Yao Mei, do you think you'll surrender just because you took Yaya away? Ridiculous. Even if you took her, we still have 3 Spirit Ancestors. Our Divine Wind team cannot lose. All our training these past few years was for today. Chapter 64, Divine Wind team, the final swan song. Chapter 64, Divine Wind team, the final swan song. Tisk, tisk, tisk tilde. Yao Mei's somewhat eerie laughter rang in Li Ziyu's ear. To be honest, why don't you believe it? What does your Divine Wind team have left? You, the captain, and these 2 Spirit Elders. Tisk, tisk, tisk tilde. Get lost. Li Ziyu glared at Gui Mei, who had arrogantly appeared before him, and suddenly swung a punch at Gui Mei's face. However, Gui Mei was extremely fast and dodged instantly, vanishing from their sight again, though that eerie laughter did not stop. Our Divine Wind team has practiced tirelessly for years to reach the level of Spirit Ancestor at our age just to challenge your Spirit Hall team. Do you have any idea how much effort we've put in? We will defeat you with our own hands to repay our mentor's teachings. And to send our mentor to the position of class teacher for the golden class. How ridiculous that you claim our 2 Spirit Ancestor members would lose to your Spirit Hall team's Yan and the child. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, Li Ziyu said furiously. Jia tilde, Yao Mei said with a laugh, then see for yourself. Look around and see if your 2 members are still there. Honestly, stop your deathbed struggles and just surrender. This has become a meaningless match in the Douluo arena. As Yao Mei spoke, the mist was directly dispersed. When the mist completely vanished, the vice captain of the Divine Wind team, Lu Yaya, was lying not far from them. She had clearly lost consciousness, her body covered in bloody gashes, wounds obviously inflicted by Yao Mei. How is this possible? Where are Niu Chen and Lian? They are Spirit Ancestors. How could they possibly lose to Yan and the Child Soul Master? This is impossible, Li Ziyu roared as he looked at the members of the Spirit Hall team standing before them. The members of the Spirit Hall team were unharmed, even the Child Soul Master didn't have a single scratch. Yet, the Divine Wind team's defense system Spirit Ancestor, Niu Chen, and agility attack system Spirit Ancestor, Lian, were nowhere to be seen on the Douluo arena. Brother Lin Feng, these people from the Divine Wind team really went to great lengths to defeat our Golden Class's champion team. Let's make sure they understand exactly why they lost. Let them see why our Spirit Hall team won, Gui Mei said with a smile. Lin Feng instantly released his spirit rings. 2 ferocious and terrifying obsidian-colored spirit rings appeared before the Divine Wind team. Is this the reason our Divine Wind team lost? Two 10,000-year spirit rings. Our defeat is not unjust. Li Ziyu panted, his whole body trembling. He had so many questions, but he wouldn't ask. It was all too illogical. Once the Douluo competition was over, he would ask his mentor in person. The Divine Wind team never imagined that they wouldn't lose to the three members of the Golden Generation, but to the Child Soul Master they had ignored. This Child Soul Master actually possessed two 10,000-year spirit rings. How could such a shocking spirit ring configuration, which shattered all established concepts, even exist? The members of the Divine Wind team sighed as they watched their captain's unwilling expression. Their defeat was absolute. These were 10,000-year spirit rings that only a spirit king should possess, yet this Child Soul Master had two. How on earth did he do it? No one would tell him. Their mentor didn't know either. Years of hard work, all gone up in smoke. All gone up in smoke. Spirit Hall team, oh Spirit Hall team, we didn't lose to you, but to this suddenly appearing Child Soul Master. If not for him, our Divine Wind team would have definitely won. Definitely, we have 4 spirit masters, no, 4 spirit ancestors. Li Ziyu wept bitterly, he was so unwilling. They had failed their years of hard work, failed their mentor's teachings, and failed the expectations of all the students in Senior Class 3. They had failed everyone who had hope for them. They shouldn't have lost. Li Ziyu clenched his fists until his bones creaked. He roared, come and defeat the last 3 of us to take your victory. Spirithalteam. Third spirit ability, Blazing Vajra transformation. Second spirit ability, Blazing Vajra claw. 100-year spirit ring and a 1,000-year spirit ring suddenly bloomed. Li Ziyu said with a laugh, come, Spirit Hall team. Let me see your strength. Third spirit ability, Magic Vine Binding. Third spirit ability, Bolt Charge. The remaining 2 spirit elder members simultaneously launch an attack toward the Spirit Hall team. Hey, Yan snorted with disdain and directly met one of the spirit elders, shouting, third spirit ability, Hellfire. Holding the Holy Sword of Order, Lin Feng charged toward the incoming Chen Qi. Meanwhile, Yao Mei, holding 2 moonblades, said solemnly, the Divine Wind team's final swan song. Then let's give you a dignified end. It's just your bad luck to run into us. What can we do when our Spirit Hall team has a little freak? Without him, our Spirit Hall team really might not have been able to beat you. Yao Mei crossed the 2 moonblades in front of his body and charged at the Divine Wind team's captain, Li Ziyu. He was so fast that only flickering afterimages could be seen. Come on, Li Ziyu roared. A moment later, a cross-shaped wound appeared on Li Ziyu's chest as he collapsed to the ground, blood flowing. Zhou Yu, who possessed the magic vine spirit, had a large portion of his clothes burned, while Niu Chen was in the worst state, with wounds deep enough to see bone, and this was even with Lin Feng intentionally holding back. Considering the other party had head-on charged a divine tool with such speed, if Lin Feng had simply held the Holy Sword of Order in front of him without doing anything, the opponent would have sliced himself in half. Fortunately, this was a duo who imagined they weren't enemies. Besides, these people would be part of his strength in the future. We won. Juliana and Xie Yu deactivated their martial soul fusion skill and slumped to the ground. The fusion skill's consumption of spirit power and physical strength was immense. It was already quite a feat to have maintained it until now. Lin Feng put away the Holy Sword of Order and sat cross-legged on the ground to begin recovering his spirit power. His spirit power was almost completely depleted, which felt extremely uncomfortable, as if he were out of breath regardless of what he did. Just swinging his sword moments ago had already been quite a strain. We won. It's finally over. This really is the strongest opponent we've faced since the Spirit Hall team was formed. Yan's face beamed with joy. The victory had certainly not come easily. Chapter 65. Victory for the Spirit Hall team. Having defeated the Divine Wind team, the members of the Spirit Hall team completely relaxed. This was a powerful opponent unlike any they had ever encountered. If not for Lin Feng, they truly couldn't have imagined a way to win. 4 spirit ancestors could have exhausted them to death just through attrition. Juliana sat on the ground, resting her chin on one hand, her face beaming with a smile as she said to Lin Feng, today's victory was hard won. Our great hero, brother Lin Feng, are you interested in celebrating today? Lin Feng looked toward Juliana and said calmly, Sister Nana's kindness is hard to refuse. Since you've invited me, how could I, as your brother, decline? After defeating such a powerful team like the Divine Wind team, we indeed need to celebrate. Since coming to this world, this was his first time feeling the power of a spirit master and his first time participating in a spirit fight. Moreover, facing the Divine Wind team with its 4 spirit ancestors, it would be impossible to say there was no pressure. Celebrating to relieve some of that pressure was perfectly fine. Furthermore, after this spirit fight, he had a completely clear understanding of what level his current power actually was, whether facing a defense system spirit ancestor, an agility attack system spirit ancestor, or an attack system or control system spirit ancestor. As long as he faced them individually, even without using the power of that divine weapon, the Holy Sword of Order, he could easily achieve victory. The power of a 10,000-year spirit skill was naturally extraordinary. If he didn't use the Holy Sword of Order, the only one who could defeat him would be an attack system spirit king. At the same time, because of this spirit fight, he also deeply understood his own shortcomings. Admittedly, he had 2 10,000-year spirit skills, but the consumption of spirit power far exceeded his imagination. After using a few spirit abilities, he would lose his combat capability due to a lack of mana. Moreover, in terms of combat techniques, he was almost at zero. Although he had the weapon, the Holy Sword of Order, the way he used it was no different from holding a wooden stick. There were no techniques to speak of, he relied entirely on the inherent sharpness of the Holy Sword of Order itself. He planned that when the Spirit Master Academy went on break, he would return to the Hall of Worship and must consult his Grandpa Angel. After all, the other party was the Angel Douluo, one of the 3 peerless Douluos, and also the owner of the divine weapon, the Angel Sword. Presumably, he had extremely high achievements in the way of the sword. Teaching him and guiding him in some techniques would be absolutely no problem. Ha 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 tilde. Yan slowly walked toward them and said heartily, you say, now that even 4 spirit ancestors are no match for us, by next year's Golden Class Soul Master competition our strength will be even greater. Especially brother Lin Feng, it's simply unimaginable. At that time, spirit ancestors will come to challenge us. I think even a spirit king won't be our match, don't you all agree? Hearing this, Juliana rarely didn't knit her brows this time, somewhat agreeing with what Yan said. He was right, by next year, their strength would be even greater, far exceeding this year's. Of course, the one with the greatest improvement would definitely be brother Lin Feng. With brother Lin Feng, even if they face a spirit king next year, they should be fearless, right? Ha 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 ha, perhaps. Brother Lin Feng is truly terrifying. It's impossible to imagine what level brother Lin Feng will grow to in a year. Xie Yu said with a chuckle. The main reason they could achieve victory this time was still because of Lin Feng. He forcefully defeated the defense system spirit ancestor, then supported Yan to defeat the agility attack system spirit ancestor before coming to reinforce them. They then formed an encirclement and finally completely wiped out the Divine Wind team's effective strength. Of course, one also had to admire the strength of the Divine Wind team. Being able to endure for several years just for today, this effort alone was worthy of respect. Unfortunately, they didn't encounter the Storm team, nor last year's Spirit Hall team, but this year's Spirit Hall team with Lin Feng's addition and skyrocketing strength. But, Brother Lin Feng, what is the origin of that weapon in your hand? I saw that no matter what kind of defensive spirit ability Niu Chen used, he couldn't withstand the power of that weapon. Yan asked curiously, of course, if you can't say, you don't have to. I'm just a bit curious. He had seen with his own eyes Lin Feng using this weapon to shatter Niu Chen's defense. Niu Chen was a defense system spirit ancestor after all, yet his own defense was easily broken by this weapon. Presumably, this weapon was no ordinary item. This weapon is indeed a bit hard to explain, but it is certainly no ordinary item. Lin Feng smiled slightly without explaining clearly. Could he say this weapon was a divine weapon? Even though it was a divine weapon without its authority released, it was still a divine weapon. Even he hadn't expected the Holy Sword of Order to be this sharp. He originally thought he would only be able to see the power of the Holy Sword of Order when his spirit power reached level 90 and he opened the Order God's trial. Now it seemed that wasn't the case. Even without releasing its authority, the Holy Sword of Order could cut through any sharp object on this continent. He even suspected whether the Holy Sword of Order in its current state could cut through the Angel God's divine weapon, the Angel Sword. Of course, it was just a thought. If he really took the Angel Sword to test and accidentally cut it, that would be a grave sin. In the spectator stands, all the students completely boiled with excitement. They had witnessed with their own eyes the Spirit Hall team creating a so-called miracle once again, breaking through the 4 spirit ancestors one by one, then encircling and finally completing the kill to thoroughly defeat the Divine Wind team. But what shocked them the most was still Lin Feng. This spirit master they had ignored actually possessed 2 10,000-year spirit rings, a powerful spirit, and an extremely sharp treasured sword. Having defeated 2 spirit ancestor experts in a row, they were neither stupid nor fools. They could see that the main reason the Spirit Hall team could achieve the final victory was because of Lin Feng. The host came to the top of the Douluo arena and said excitedly, what a shocking and stunning spirit master competition. It makes one's blood boil and leaves one wanting more. I didn't expect the Spirit Hall team to defeat the Divine Wind team so easily. Congratulations to our Spirit Hall team for achieving the final victory in this Golden Class Spirit Master competition. Tomorrow afternoon, the repechage will begin. Now, everyone, please exit in an orderly manner. Do not stampede, do not crowd. As the host, she was also dazzled. 2 10,000-year spirit rings, a mysterious angel martial soul, and an extremely sharp treasured sword, finally defeating the Divine Wind team with 4 spirit ancestors. For the next few sessions, as long as the Spirit Hall team participated in the Golden Class Soul Master competition, one could imagine that there would no longer be any ordinary senior classes coming to challenge the Spirit Hall team. Chapter 66. The Supreme Pontiff is very satisfied. When the Spirit Hall team left the Douluo arena and returned to the Golden Class Lounge, all the class students greeted the Spirit Hall team members with applause, congratulating them on their victory. Du Mingyu looked at the 4 members of the Spirit Hall team with a complex expression. It wasn't that she hadn't considered the possibility of the Spirit Hall team winning, but she had also thought about them failing, which would mean losing the glory and honor of being the class teacher of the Golden Class. But when the Spirit Hall team actually defeated the Divine Wind team and helped her defend that glory and honor, she was thrilled. What surprised her most was the strength Lin Feng had displayed. Even though it seemed very unpracticed, the answer was already self-evident. According to her estimation, Lin Feng, who possessed 2 10,000-year spirit rings, was only a spirit grandmaster. Although the spirit power consumption from using a 10,000-year spirit skill was extremely fast, to defeat Lin Feng, at least 2 spirit ancestors would need to attack him simultaneously. If Lin Feng used that sharp sword, it might take at least 3, or even 4 spirit ancestors to defeat him. 10,000-year spirit rings were indeed true to their name. The spirit power consumption was far beyond what a spirit grandmaster could bear, but their power was immense, that was also true. Congratulations, congratulations, Spirit Hall team, you are the pride of our Golden Class. I didn't expect you to actually win, otherwise, this class teacher of yours would have been replaced, Du Mingyu said with a smile. Juliana's face was beaming with smiles. She looked at the small Lin Feng beside her, patted his head, and said, if it weren't for Brother Lin Feng, it really wouldn't have been possible for us. Our ability to win is all thanks to Brother Lin Feng. They knew exactly how much weight they carried. If Brother Lin Feng hadn't enrolled this year, and if she hadn't personally invited Brother Lin Feng to join the Spirit Hall team, it would have been very difficult for them if they had encountered the Divine Wind team in the end. You are all our pride. Du Mingyu waved her hand and announced loudly, students, today we celebrate the Spirit Hall team winning the Golden Class Soul Master competition for 2 consecutive years, and defeating the Divine Wind team, a team with 4 spirit ancestors. Today, the treat is on me, so eat to your heart's content. There were many students at the Spirit Master Academy, and the canteen was very large, with all kinds of food available. The Spirit Master Academy never cut corners when it came to food. The costs were not high, and the students could always eat their fill, which allowed them to better complete their daily cultivation. Yay, long live the Spirit Hall team, long live Instructor Du. In the Golden Class Lounge, the students' cheers rose and fell. However, don't be careless about tomorrow's resurrection match, you hear me? This concerns the distribution of your resources for this year. Our Spirit Master Academy allows for healthy competition, so keep it up, cultivate hard, and then graduate to become pillars of our Spirit Hall. Du Mingyu urged as she watched the excited students. These students were the future of their Spirit Hall, and the Spirit Hall would eventually belong to them. Big Brother Lin Feng, you are truly amazing. To think you could easily defeat 2 spirit ancestors, it's truly unimaginable. It's a pity that our strength is low and we couldn't help you in battle, but we have decided that starting from tonight, we will cultivate hard and follow closely in Big Brother Lin Feng's footsteps. Tian Ming, leading Tianji Yunai and Tianji Yuqinyan, came to Lin Feng's side and said solemnly. Obviously, they were all the same age, but their big brother Lin Feng had already defeated spirit ancestors, while they didn't even have the qualifications to participate in the soul fighting. If they, as his little brothers, were too weak, it wouldn't look good for their big brother, would it? Lin Feng looked at the determined eyes of Tian Ming, Tianji Yunai, and Tianji Yuqinyan, and said with a smile, then you must cultivate hard. I won't stop to wait for you, so hurry up and catch up with me. Tian Ming nodded vigorously, and Tianji Yunai clenched his fists, his eyes firm as he said, even if we can't catch up to Big Brother Lin Feng's footsteps, we will still cultivate hard so that we can at least see Big Brother Lin Feng's back. In this soul fighting match, they clearly realized that the gap between themselves and Big Brother Lin Feng was like a chasm. They couldn't see the end of this gap. Were they geniuses? No, they didn't consider themselves geniuses, they considered themselves ordinary people, while their big brother Lin Feng was the true genius. These 3 little ones, seeing Tian Ming and the others with their determined eyes, talking about chasing his footsteps, Lin Feng's lips curled up slightly. They were his future foundation. At the same time, he was considering whether to teach the 3 of them the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique now to improve their spirit power levels. The Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique was a profound technique that far exceeded the mysterious heaven skill. He intended to teach it to Qian Daoliu and the others to improve the overall strength of the Spirit Hall. As for the reason, it was naturally that Schrodinger's god. This god was a setup he had arranged the moment he first met Qian Daoliu. In the future, no matter what unreasonable things happened, he could push all of it onto Schrodinger. Afterward, everyone followed Du Mingyu, left the Spirit Master Arena in an orderly fashion, and headed toward the Spirit Master Academy canteen. On the special spectator stand, Bibi Dong and the others were also planning to leave. She had come this time just to see the Spirit Hall team's growth over the past year and to meet Lin Feng, who had awakened the angel martial soul. As for tomorrow's resurrection match, she wouldn't come, there was no need. Supreme Pontiff, I wonder if you are satisfied with this year's Golden Class Soul Master competition. Wu Pengfei asked with a smile. Bibi Dong pursed her lips and said with a smile, naturally, I am satisfied. I have seen the Spirit Hall team's growth over the past year. The Spirit Master Academy has done well. Moreover, it was truly surprising that a powerful team like the Divine Wind team appeared this year to challenge the Spirit Hall team. It seems that these future members of the Spirit Hall in our Spirit Master Academy are all very good. The future belongs to them. As for the instruction of the students, Dean Wu, the road is long and arduous. She was very satisfied with this year's Golden Class Soul Master competition. The appearance of such a powerful team as the Divine Wind team showed that the instructors at the Spirit Master Academy were truly dedicated to teaching this group of Spirit Hall's future. Elder Ju, Elder Gui, let's go. Bibi Dong slowly rose and left her seat, while Chrysanthemum Moonpass and Gui Mei followed closely behind her like bodyguards. The Supreme Pontiff is very satisfied with this year's results. The corners of Wu Pengfei's mouth curled up as he said this with a smile to the lower level department head and the high level department head. Chapter 67, Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique. After the banquet celebrating the victory of the Spirit Hall team ended, it was already late at night when the crowd dispersed and everyone began returning to their dormitories to rest. At this moment, in the dormitory, Tian Ming, Qianji Yu Neihe, and Qianji Yu Qingyan had already entered a state of cultivation upon returning from the meal. They were people who wanted to chase after Big Brother Lin Feng's footsteps, so they naturally wouldn't slack off. From this spirit fighting competition, they clearly realized that they were still very weak. They even felt that the harsh words they had spoken when facing the higher grade students were somewhat laughable. All of that confidence was built upon the strength of their big brother Lin Feng. Moonlight shone through the window onto everyone's faces. Looking at the three of them working hard and cultivating seriously, the corners of Lin Feng's mouth curled up slightly as he murmured, they really are serious. This is good. With the resources of Spirit Hall, they will definitely be able to reach the Spirit Elder realm in 6 years, perhaps even becoming high-level Spirit Elders. Of course, if they had immortal grade Spirit Grass, their cultivation speed would be even faster. Let's try the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique first, Lin Feng thought to himself. The Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique was a system reward. He had always wanted to test the mysteries of this technique, but unfortunately there hadn't been time. Now that the Golden Class Soul Master competition was over, he naturally had time to test its wonders. According to the system, the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique is a miraculous technique far superior to the mysterious heaven skill. Cultivating this technique allows one to use spirit power to open the 12 meridians, namely, the lung, large intestine, stomach, spleen, heart, small intestine, bladder, kidney, pericardium, triple energizer, gallbladder, and liver meridians. After opening the 12 meridians, the speed of meditation cultivation will increase by 120%. One can also open the 8 extraordinary meridians, the Ren, Du, Chong, Dai, Yangwei, Yangchao, and Yanchao vessels. Once these are opened, the meditation cultivation method improves by 80%, for a total increase of 200% in meditation cultivation speed. Furthermore, by cultivating this technique, physical strength and mental force will be effectively enhanced. Most importantly, after all 12 meridians and 8 extraordinary meridians are opened, the Divine Soul Body constitution will be awakened. The Divine Soul Body is endless and can continuously recover from injuries. As long as it's not a fatal injury like a decapitation, any damage the Divine Soul Body receives can be quickly repaired. As long as spirit power is not exhausted, the Spirit Master does not die. This technique is quite impressive. It's perfectly suited for the general public of Spirit Masters to cultivate. And there are no aptitude restrictions, meaning even if a Spirit Master's innate spirit power is only level 1, they can still cultivate the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique. Hiss, Lin Feng gasped. If this technique were to be made public, it would definitely cause an uproar in the Spirit Master's world. This technique is simply a treasure for Spirit Masters. Its value far exceeds 100,000-year spirit rings or 100,000-year spirit bones. With this, the upper limit for Spirit Masters will be greatly increased. Lin Feng hadn't expected this technique to be so special, with no threshold for cultivation. Any Spirit Master could cultivate it, gradually opening the 12 meridians and 8 extraordinary meridians. Moreover, in the process of running the technique, one's physical constitution and mental force would gradually improve. The most critical part is still the Divine Soul Body. Injuries that aren't decapitations can be healed. As long as spirit power isn't empty, the Spirit Master doesn't die, and the body regenerates endlessly, continuously healing wounds. Not bad, system. This Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique can indeed surpass the mysterious heaven skill. No matter how strong the mysterious heaven skill is, can it increase cultivation speed by 200%? No matter how strong it is, can it be as strong as the Divine Soul Body? Can it improve one's physical constitution and mental force? Lin Feng thought. The Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique is simple and direct, without any tricks. Cultivating it improves physical constitution and mental force. After opening all 12 meridians and 8 extraordinary meridians, one can even obtain the special constitution of the Divine Soul Body. Thinking this, Lin Feng began to circulate the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique according to the records in his mind. First, he had to open the lung meridian among the 12 meridians. As Lin Feng circulated the technique according to the records in his mind, he only felt a warmth throughout his body. Spirit power flowed through him, and his lungs felt a bit hot, as if something was about to burst through. The next day, after cultivating for the entire night, Lin Feng didn't feel any fatigue. Instead, he felt refreshed and energetic. It was just that the lung meridian among the 12 meridians still hadn't been opened after a night of cultivation, but that made sense. As one of the 12 meridians, how could the lung meridian be so easy to open? Although the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique increases meditation cultivation speed by 200%, it requires opening the 20 meridians and extraordinary vessels. I haven't even opened the lung meridian yet. Cultivating the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique is a long and arduous journey. Lin Feng said with emotion. With the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique, immortal grade spirit grass, and his innate spirit power level 20, becoming a spirit king in 6 years is not impossible. Yawn, having cultivated for the whole night, Tian Ming yawned and stretched. Seeing that Lin Feng was already up, he greeted, Big brother Lin Feng, did you also cultivate all night? Lin Feng nodded. Using the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique to replace sleep was even more suitable than ordinary meditation. If one simply used meditation to replace sleep, they would still feel tired the next day. But the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique was different. Lin Feng didn't quite understand the specific reason yet. It was as if he had slept, but his body was cultivating on its own. Big brother Lin Feng, if a genius like you works this hard, how are we supposed to live? Tianming said dejectedly. To be honest, let alone following in big brother Lin Feng's footsteps, just catching sight of his back was extremely difficult for them. Innate spirit power level 20, that cultivation speed is like being on a rocket. They might have just reached the spirit grandmaster level when Lin Feng is already a spirit elder. By the time they become spirit elders, Lin Feng will already be a spirit ancestor powerhouse. Take it slow, cultivation isn't achieved overnight, it's a steady stream, a gradual accumulation. You are all genius spirit masters, but there's no point in comparing yourselves to me. Lin Feng said with a smile. Was the talent of Tianming and the others poor? Of course not. How many spirit masters are there with level 9 innate spirit power? Those who can reach level 9 innate spirit power are all exceptionally gifted spirit masters, they are all little freaks. But for little freaks like them to compare their cultivation to a true monster like Lin Feng was simply like throwing an egg against a stone, or a mantis trying to stop a chariot, overestimating their own strength. Lin Feng's gaze swept over the three of them, and he said calmly, let's go. Today is the repechage, although it has nothing to do with us, we still need to be present. Tianming and the others nodded one after another, then followed Lin Feng out of the dormitory. Of course, their first destination was the cafeteria. After a night of cultivation, they were still hungry. Chapter 68. Hardworking geniuses are the most terrifying. After finishing their meal in the cafeteria, Lin Feng and the others rushed to the classroom, waiting for their instructor to lead them to the Spirit Master arena. Meanwhile, inside the hall of worship. Ha 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 tilde. Qian Dalu's laughter echoed around as he stroked his beard and said with a smile, as expected of my, Qian Dalu's god-grandson. Impressive, truly impressive. To be able to defeat two spirit ancestors as a mere spirit grandmaster, impressive, truly impressive. They had also been following the Golden Class Soul Master competition, but they hadn't expected Lin Feng to take the field at the end, let alone help the Spirit Hall team secure victory in such a stunning manner. At 6 years old, as a Spirit Grandmaster, defeating two Spirit Ancestors was more than enough for them to boast about. We didn't expect it either. For this child, Lin Feng, to actually take the field is truly surprising. But the most unexpected thing is that Lin Feng and the others are actually mingling with the members of the Spirit Hall team, the demon-subduing Great Elder remarked. He had no good feelings toward that woman from the Supreme Pontiff Palace and knew well that the so-called Spirit Hall team was essentially her direct lineage. The captain of the Spirit Hall team, Juliana, was even that woman's disciple. There's nothing wrong with that. Young people should spend time with other young people. Besides, those three from the Spirit Hall team are quite capable. I heard they defeated two Spirit Ancestors last year. Gold Crocodile Douluo said calmly. He didn't mind if his grandson interacted with the members of the Spirit Hall team. Being in the same class and all being genius Spirit Masters, how could they not have any social interaction? Qian Jun said in a deep voice, I just didn't expect our Supreme Pontiff to actually observe the Golden Class Spirit Master competition. It's truly rare. It seems our Supreme Pontiff has already met Lin Feng and the others. Demon Subduing said indifferently, so what if he has? His Supreme Pontiff Palace has 3 geniuses, and our Hall of Worship has 4. Besides, it's impossible for our Supreme Pontiff to be so narrow-minded as to lose his temper with a few children, right? The Supreme Pontiff Palace had 3 genius spirit masters known as the Golden Generation. Wouldn't that make the 4 geniuses from their Hall of Worship the Diamond Generation? Qian Daoliu spoke up at this point. Originally, I intended to hide the identities of Fenger and the others, as it would be more beneficial for their growth in the Spirit Master Academy. I didn't expect these children to give me such a surprise. Entering the field at the Spirit Grandmaster realm, defeating 2 Spirit Ancestors, and helping the Spirit Hall team win, now their identities can't be hidden even if we wanted to. The instructors at the Spirit Master Academy aren't blind, after all. Golden Crocodile nodded. I didn't expect it to happen so soon. I thought Lin Feng and the others' identities wouldn't be exposed for another year or 2. After the Spirit Duel competition, it'll be hard for anyone not to know. But it's fine, just because the instructors know doesn't mean the students will. This is acceptable. The perspective of teachers is different from that of students. The students will only wonder why Lin Feng's spirit is so similar to the iconic angel statue of Spirit City, while the instructors will be able to guess his true identity the moment they see his spirit. A 6-winged angel martial soul, one doesn't even need to think to know where it comes from. Qian Daoliu said with composure, Fenger and the others are pure gold. Gold will shine no matter where it is. Besides, a piece of gold like Lin Feng is exceptionally brilliant. Even without this Golden Class Spirit Master competition, this would have happened in a year or 2 anyway. This has simply accelerated the timeline. We had many geniuses at our Spirit Master Academy last year, but this year is even better. The team challenging the champions of the Golden Class Spirit Master competition actually has 4 Spirit Ancestors. It's truly surprising, Azure Luan Douluo said with a smile. 4 Spirit Ancestors, and all of them within the specific age limit. One can imagine their talent. Although they didn't meet the requirements for the Golden Class back then, they will surely be the pillars of Spirit Hall after they graduate. If the talented Spirit Masters of this continent were measured in 10 parts, our Spirit Master Academy would possess 8 of them. In the Spirit Master Academy with its massive student body, talented Spirit Masters are springing up like bamboo shoots after rain. Their Spirit Master Academy has no admissions requirements other than meeting the innate spirit power threshold. One can enter directly to further their studies. Furthermore, tuition is free year-round, and impoverished students can even earn gold coins within the Spirit Master Academy to support their families. On this continent, their Spirit Master Academy is the only one with such lavish conditions and no stringent admission requirements. Because the conditions at the Spirit Master Academy are so generous, there is a constant stream of Spirit Masters coming to study, especially commoner Spirit Masters, who make up 90% of the population. These Spirit Masters are the future of Spirit Hall. As the most transcendent power on the continent, Spirit Hall has a number of Spirit Masters that far exceeds other forces. A single stomp of its foot would make this continent tremble. Qian Daoliu said solemnly, these people are the future of our Spirit Hall. Whether they are Spirit Masters from commoner backgrounds or noble families, our Spirit Hall must treat them all equally. Hearing this, everyone nodded. One of the main reasons Spirit Hall holds its current position is the commoner Spirit Masters from ordinary families. Although Spirit Master clans can consistently produce Spirit Masters, they are but a drop in the bucket compared to the vast number of commoner Spirit Masters. Even among the titled Douluo in Spirit Hall, several originated as commoner Spirit Masters. Meanwhile, at the Spirit Master Academy, the Golden Class repechage has begun. Except for the champion Spirit Hall team, which doesn't need to participate, the other Spirit Master teams are fighting with intense fervor, locked in heated, inseparable combat. The championship was out of their reach, but they could certainly fight for 2nd and 3rd place. All of them were Golden Class students, and aside from the monstrous Spirit Hall team, the strength gap between the other teams was not that large. Brother Lin Feng really doesn't leave a way out for other Spirit Masters. They say hard work can catch up to a genius, but what if the genius is also working hard? Juliana murmured, resting her chin on one hand as she watched Lin Feng refining spirit power beside her. Besides Lin Feng, Tianming and the others weren't idle either, refining their spirit power, perhaps stimulated by Lin Feng's example. With such talent and such hard work, catching up to us is only a matter of time, Xiaoyu said with a smile. It seems, Nana, we need to work even harder. Although brother Lin Feng will catch up to us sooner or later, I hope that time comes a bit later. After saying that, Xiaoyu began to refine his spirit power. Chapter 69, Constitution Enhancement Potion. After the Golden Class Soul Master competition ended, Lin Feng and the other school life completely entered a stable phase. They had to attend morning classes every day, while the afternoon and evening were entirely devoted to cultivation to increase their spirit power levels. After a week of cultivation, Lin Feng's spirit power level reached level 24, very close to level 25. At the same time, his cultivation of the divine soul body tempering technique hadn't lagged behind. Among the 12 meridians, he had already cleared the lung meridian. The meditation cultivation speed directly increased by 10%. Currently, he was pushing through the second meridian and expected to clear it by next week. In the near future, he would completely clear all 12 meridians and begin attacking the 8 extraordinary meridians. In the dormitory, Lin Feng sat cross-legged on his bed and murmured, with my current cultivation speed and the boost from the divine soul body tempering technique, it might not be impossible for my spirit power level to reach level 30 by the end of this semester. With innate spirit power level 20, his cultivation speed was already far ahead of other spirit masters. Moreover, with the divine soul body tempering technique, it was like a tiger with wings. As for Tianming and the others, their spirit power levels hadn't changed over the past week. Lin Feng took out 4 bottles of liquid from his spirit tool, each about 10 milliliters, similar to the oral liquids from his past life. These were given to them today by their golden class instructor, Du Mingyu, who said they were the latest constitution enhancement potions developed by the Spirit Hall. Currently, the production volume was extremely low, making them precious cultivation resources. After consumption, they could not only slightly increase spirit power but even improve one's constitution and increase the absorption limit of spirit rings. As for exactly how many years, it was hard to say. Constitution enhancement potion. Could this have been developed by the Spirit Hall using whale glue? Looking at the effect, it seems to only have the effect of 100-year whale gelatin. In just 2 short weeks, the Spirit Hall's efficiency is truly fast. Lin Feng couldn't help but remark. This constitution enhancement potion was definitely developed using whale glue, only 100-year whale gelatin, of course, likely with the side effects removed. It was currently only being provided to the golden class because production was too low. Once production increased, it would be completely popularized throughout the Spirit Master Academy. 100-year whale gelatin was just the beginning, later there would be 1000-year whale glue and 10,000-year whale glue. The effect of 10,000-year whale glue far exceeded that of 100-year whale gelatin. Besides the constitution enhancement potion, there were several other special items. There were spirit power enhancement potions that briefly increased spirit power cultivation speed, along with various other resources that were extremely beneficial to spirit masters. Although the effects might not be very obvious, they would add up over time. In the long run, the students of the Spirit Master Academy who use these resources would have an overall strength far exceeding that of other academies. Lin Feng opened a bottle and drank it in one gulp. He began refining his spirit power, feeling only a warm sensation in his body without any other feelings like unbearable heat. During his cultivation, he could clearly feel that after taking the Constitution Enhancement Potion, his cultivation speed had improved. Next, he used all 3 remaining bottles of the Constitution Enhancement Potion, gradually refining them. When he finished his cultivation and opened his eyes, Tianming and the others had also finished their cultivation. This Constitution Enhancement Potion is really good. I can feel a clear increase in spirit power. I'm afraid my spirit power level will reach level 12 in a short while. Tianming said excitedly. After speaking, Tianming looked at Lin Feng, who had finished his cultivation, and said with a bitter smile, Big brother Lin Feng, your spirit power level is already 24. When will we ever be able to catch up to your footsteps? Despite clearly being the same age, Lin Feng's spirit power level was already far beyond the 3 of them, leading them by 13 levels. The gap would only grow wider in the future. Lin Feng shook his head with a bitter smile and said, don't think about catching up to me, I am someone you will never be able to catch up to. Although it was cruel, it was the truth. With techniques like the divine soul body tempering technique, let alone innate spirit power level 20, it was impossible for them to catch up to him just by relying on the Spirit Hall's resources. It was impossible to do without cheating. Hearing this, the 3 of them felt a bit dejected. Lin Feng got off the bed, put on his clothes, and said with a smile, let's go. We still need to attend Instructor Du's lecture in the classroom. It's very beneficial for us. The 4 of them dressed and left the dormitory. After eating, they arrived at the classroom. Since it wasn't time for class yet, the classroom was currently quite messy. Lin Feng and the others entered the classroom and headed straight for the last row, found their seats, and sat down. Juliana leaned over at this time and said, Brother Lin Feng should have received this week's cultivation resources too, right? How do you feel about that constitution enhancement potion? Lin Feng replied with a smile, it's not bad. I heard it can improve one's constitution. Because the production is currently low, it's only open to us golden class students for now. But I also heard that this thing actually comes from your hall of worship. Brother Lin Feng, are you hiding some secret from me? Juliana said with a beaming smile. When she received the resource, she had inquired about information regarding this thing. She only knew that it came from the hall of worship and was personally handled by them. The effect of this constitution enhancement potion was beneficial for improving one's constitution, and it could even increase the absorption limit of spirit rings, as well as slightly increase spirit power. Taking it long-term would be very useful for the overall strength improvement of a spirit master. As expected, nothing can be hidden from Sister Nana. I do know some things. This thing indeed comes from the hall of worship. This is only the first type. There's a second and a third. If taken long-term, a spirit master's first spirit ring can absorb a 1000-year level spirit ring. Lin Feng said calmly. Since the potion was already out, it was no longer a secret. Juliana wanted to know, and as the Supreme Pontiff's disciple, she had the right to know. Hearing this, Juliana was instantly dumbfounded and murmured, taking it long-term can actually allow a spirit master's first spirit ring to directly be a 1000-year level spirit ring. This is simply unbelievable. It's just that it appeared a bit late. If it had appeared earlier, wouldn't our first spirit rings also have been 1000-year spirit rings? Juliana said with a sigh. The ones who lose out the most are spirit masters like Tianming and the others who just enrolled not long ago. If it had been a bit later, they might have been able to achieve absorbing a 1000-year spirit ring as their first spirit ring. Lin Feng said with a bitter smile. He originally thought that the Spirit Hall would need at least half a year, or even longer, to thoroughly research and understand it before putting it into use. Who would have thought that it would already be in use after just 2 weeks? Chapter 70, Report on the Whale Glue Project. High Priest, after 2 weeks of tireless research, the side effects of 100-year whale glue have been eliminated, and it has been formulated into a constitution enhancement potion and put into use. Currently, the production volume is very low, so it was first implemented in the golden class. In the Hall of Worship, Lin Yedian cupped his hands toward the High Priest and spoke respectfully. Over these past 2 weeks, they had been very discreetly purchasing whale glue of various ages and transporting it to Spirit City for research. Through the studies and practical applications of those experts, the first version of the Constitution Enhancement Potion made from 100-year whale glue can be fully put into use. After consumption, it slightly increases spirit power and simultaneously enhances physical constitution. As for exactly how much it can improve, there is no accurate data yet. Obtaining precise information requires a large amount of data collection. From the time the Constitution Enhancement Potion was created to its implementation, only a few days have passed, so how could there be accurate data? However, they are clear that relying on the first version of the Constitution Enhancement Potion to reach the level of absorbing a 1,000-year spirit ring as the first spirit ring is impossible. Once the second version of the Constitution Enhancement Potion, made from 1,000-year whale glue, is developed, it might be possible, but one shouldn't even think about it with the first version. The quantity of 100-year whale glue is the highest on this continent. Meanwhile, during this period, I have already established the channels for our Spirit Hall to acquire whale glue. Once our Spirit Hall's process for the first version of the Constitution Enhancement Potion gradually matures, we can even sell and distribute it externally to gain even greater profits. Lin Yedian reported. Good, very good. Once the 1,000-year whale glue is put into use, I believe the future of our Spirit Hall will see every member's first spirit ring reach the 1,000-year level. Qian Dalyu said with a beaming smile, stroking his beard. He hadn't even expected this speed. Rest assured, High Priest, that time will not be far off. No one would ever imagine that this whale glue, used by nobles for flirting, would be utilized to such an extent in the hands of our Spirit Hall. Using such a treasure of the Spirit Master's world on those rotten nobles is simply a massive waste. Lin Yedian said with a smile. The current reserves of whale glue are very high. 100-year whale glue has reached an unimaginable amount. Although 1,000-year and 10,000-year whale glue are somewhat rare, they aren't that scarce, obtaining them is still quite easy. Golden Crocodile looked at the small bottle of liquid in his hand and murmured, this thing needs to speed up production and implementation. Then, focus the research on 1,000-year whale glue, and finally on 10,000-year whale glue. However, the quantity of 10,000-year whale glue shouldn't be very high, right? Lin Yedian nodded slightly and said, the second consecrator is right. The current quantities of 100-year and 1,000-year whale glue are very large, but 10,000-year whale glue is different and is considered rare. However, since only our Spirit Hall currently knows the true function of whale glue, it isn't overly rare either. We are currently accelerating the acquisition of 10,000-year whale glue. Currently, no one knows the shocking effect of this item, and its price is not expensive. Therefore, Spirit Hall faces no resistance in purchasing it. Of course, that is only for now. Once the people of the two great empires discover that the whale glue on the market has largely disappeared, they should be able to figure out the reason if they use their brains, and at that time, we might face some resistance. However, if we want to put 1,000-year whale glue into use without side effects, it may take a bit longer. Compared to 100-year whale glue, the research on 1,000-year whale glue will be more troublesome, and turning it into a Constitution Enhancement Potion will also be very difficult, Lin Yedian said bitterly. The main reason 100-year whale glue could be quickly put into use was that its own effects are not strong, and its side effects are also not intense. By pairing it with various other herbs to neutralize the side effects and making it directly into a Constitution Enhancement Potion, there were almost no difficulties. Whereas for 1,000-year and 10,000-year, compared to 100-year whale glue, both the effects and side effects are increased nearly exponentially. Of course, in the eyes of those nobles, these side effects are naturally not considered side effects at all. They were originally meant for flirting and amusement. After explaining everything clearly, Lin Yedian left the Hall of Worship. Qian Dalyu examined the bottled liquid in his hand and clicked his tongue, saying, if that great existence hadn't told us the true use of this whale glue, I don't know how many years it would have taken for spirit masters to know its real function and use it for cultivation. The other consecrators nodded one after another. Although they couldn't use this stuff now, it would benefit the future of Spirit Hall. In the future, spirit masters of Spirit Hall would become even stronger because of this, and Spirit Hall would become even greater because of it. The High Priest is right. Without little Lin Feng, who knows how many years it would have taken for spirit masters to truly understand the real function of this stuff. I wonder what other surprises little Lin Feng will bring us. Golden Crocodile said with a smile. If that great existence is willing, I think little Lin Feng will continue to bring us surprises, Qingluan said with a chuckle. Wasn't the effect of whale glue told to Lin Feng by that great existence? Then Lin Feng told them, if that great existence felt that Lin Feng's cultivation speed was too slow, perhaps he would bring them surprises once again. Hearing this, Qian Dalyu nodded slightly. It was quite unusual to help one's successor to such an extent, but they hoped the God of Order would be even more excessive. That would be good for Lin Feng and good for Spirit Hall. Meanwhile, after finishing their meal after class, Lin Feng and the others returned to their dormitory and began refining their spirit power. At the same time, Lin Feng had decided that when this semester ended and the holidays began, he would tell Qian Dalyu and the others about the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique. The Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique was useful to him, and it would also be of great use to experts at the titled Douluo level. The Divine Soul Body alone would provide a massive boost to Qian Dalyu, and the same went for the other consecrators. Moreover, the stronger Spirit Hall's power was, the more beneficial it would be for him. It's not impossible to tell Grandpa Angel and the others the cultivation method of the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique. Furthermore, with the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique, the strength of Grandpa Angel and the others will be raised to a new level, as will the other high-level members of Spirit Hall. This thing can completely become one of the supreme foundations of Spirit Hall, a true treasure of Spirit Hall. Lin Feng thought to himself. Although Spirit Hall had countless foundations, there was nothing like the cultivation method of the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique. After all, the mainstream of the Spirit Master's world relied on meditation for cultivation, and the speed of meditation was closely related to the level of innate spirit power. Chapter 71. 4 months later, holiday time. At Spirit Master Academy, 4 months had already passed. Lin Feng and the others' first semester had ended as scheduled. Awaiting them was a 2-month holiday, after which they would return to the Spirit Master Academy. In just 4 short months, with my innate spirit power level 20, the ample resources of the Spirit Master Academy, and the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique, I am already a level 30 Spirit Grandmaster. Once I absorb a Spirit Ring, I can become a Spirit Elder. Lin Feng murmured in the dormitory. During these 4 months, despite having innate spirit power level 20 in the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique, he hadn't slackened in his cultivation. Instead, he worked harder than anyone else, even managing to clear 4 meridians with the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique. These were the lung meridian, large intestine meridian, stomach meridian, and spleen meridian among the 12 meridians. After clearing these 4, he could clearly feel a significant boost in his meditation speed, a 40% increase, which was quite remarkable. At the same time, by circulating the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique every day, his physical constitution and mental force were improving. Although the progress wasn't immediately obvious, it would be very substantial over the long term. The first semester is over, and next is a 2-month holiday. During this time, I need to hunt for a spirit ring to become a Spirit Elder. Also, the progress with the ice and fire yin yang well needs to keep up. Lin Feng pondered. He had already planned that upon returning to the Hall of Worship, he would tell Qian Daoyu and the others about the ice and fire yin yang well. Such a natural source of medicine would only reach its maximum value if held by Spirit Hall. Moreover, the precious immortal grade spirit grass growing around the ice and fire yin yang well would be extremely useful even for super Douluo and peak Douluo like Qian Daoyu. Furthermore, if he absorbed the immortal grade spirit grass, his cultivation speed would reach a whole new level. Tianming and the others would also see an increase in their cultivation speed after consuming immortal grade spirit grass. Although they wouldn't catch up to him, they at least wouldn't feel so inferior every time they saw him after a day of training. There was no helping it, he was simply too much of a monster, to the point where even Tianming and the others felt an inexplicable sense of inferiority. Furthermore, once he absorbed the immortal grade spirit grass, with his innate spirit power level 20, the divine soul body tempering technique, and the boost from the grass, it wouldn't be impossible for his spirit power level to reach Spirit King in 6 years. With innate spirit power level 20, unlimited resources from Spirit Hall, a powerful technique to boost cultivation speed, and the immortal grade spirit grass from the ice and fire yin yang well, with all these bonuses, if he still couldn't reach Spirit King, he might as well find a block of tofu to bash his head against. It was only a matter of 20 levels of spirit power, after all. He believed he could achieve it within these 6 years. Brother Lin Feng, shall we go? Tianming said, sitting on the edge of the bed and looking at Lin Feng. Heaven knows how they had survived these 4 months. It felt like Lin Feng's spirit power level increased almost every other day. Now, he had already become a level 30 spirit grandmaster. After absorbing a spirit ring, he would become a spirit elder. Looking back at themselves, 4 months was neither long nor short. Compared to the speed at which Lin Feng's spirit power rose, their progress seemed incredibly slow. It wasn't that they weren't taking their cultivation seriously. Aside from classes and meals, all their time was spent on training. No matter how hard they tried to catch up, they just couldn't keep pace with Lin Feng. In fact, the gap was only widening. Even if Brother Lin Feng's innate spirit power level was 20, the difference shouldn't be this massive, right? Lin Feng nodded slightly and put on his clothes, then the 4 of them left the dormitory. After leaving the dormitory building, they happened to run into Juliana and her group, who were also preparing to depart. Lin Feng smiled and greeted them. Over the past 4 months, they had completely integrated into the environment of the Spirit Hall team. Regardless of what their original intentions were when inviting them to join the Spirit Hall team, their interests hadn't been harmed during these 4 months, had they? On the contrary, Juliana's trio had taken very good care of them. Yo tilde, what a coincidence. Isn't this Brother Lin Feng? Juliana said with a smile. 4 months. In just 4 short months, they had personally witnessed Lin Feng's spirit power level soar. It was simply astonishing, like he was some kind of superhuman. It had only been 4 months since he awakened his spirit. Although his innate spirit power level was 20 and his cultivation speed was naturally fast, far exceeding someone with innate full spirit power, this speed was still too shocking. In just 4 months, his spirit power level had jumped 10 levels, reaching level 30 spirit grandmaster. After absorbing a spirit ring, Lin Feng would become a spirit elder. Would his spirit power level surpass theirs in just a bit more time? I thought that even with innate spirit power level 20, there would be a limit to how fast one could cultivate. I never expected it to reach this level. It's as if a divinity has descended to the world, Juliana thought to herself with emotion. She was even more convinced that inviting Lin Feng and the others into the Spirit Hall team was the right decision. They definitely had to stay on good terms with Lin Feng. Given a bit more time, they believed Lin Feng's spirit power level would indeed surpass theirs. Although it was said that the higher the spirit power level, the slower the cultivation speed because the spirit power required for refinement became more massive, Lin Feng's innate spirit power was level 20. In front of Lin Feng, they even felt as if their 6 years of cultivation had all been wasted on a pig. After chatting for a while, Juliana and the others were the first to leave the Spirit Master Academy. Lin Feng and his group walked out of the Spirit Master Academy gates, breathing in the air of freedom. Tianming said emotionally, 4 months went by so fast, but my spirit power level increased so slowly. A 2-month holiday, but we mustn't slack off in our cultivation. We have to keep up with Brother Lin Feng's footsteps. Even if it's difficult, we should at least be able to see his back. Tianming said, clenching his fist. Exactly, Qianji Yunai and Qianji Yuqingyan both nodded. After 4 months, Qianji Yuqingyan was no longer as shy as when she first arrived at the Spirit Master Academy. She had changed somewhat, though not significantly. You want to keep up with my footsteps. Hearing this, Lin Feng said with a chuckle, then you'd better speed up your cultivation, or you might not even be able to see my back. He had already decided to give the cultivation method for the divine soul body tempering technique to Qian Daoyu and the others. When the time came, Tianming and the others would also learn it, and their cultivation speed would increase. But as for keeping up with his footsteps, that was impossible. The gap between innate spirit power level 9 and innate spirit power level 20 was a chasm to begin with, and he was practicing the divine soul body tempering technique himself as well. Chapter 72, The Worries of Tianming and the Others. Lin Feng, Tianming, and the other 4 waited at the gate of the Spirit Master Academy for a while before seeing Qian Daoyu, Golden Crocodile, Qian Jun, and Conquering Demon walking toward them from a distance, all with smiles on their faces. Qian Daoyu walked up to Lin Feng, sensed his spirit power level, and said with a smile, oh tilde, it seems sending Fenger to the Spirit Master Academy was quite effective. Your spirit power level has already reached level 30. You only need to absorb a spirit ring to become a spirit elder. Even Qian Daoyu felt a bit surprised by the increase in Lin Feng's spirit power level over these 4 months. Although the cultivation speed of innate spirit power level 20 was extremely fast, it shouldn't have been enough to go from a spirit grandmaster to a level 30 spirit grandmaster in just 4 short months. Perhaps it was the help that God gave to Lin Feng, otherwise, it would have been absolutely impossible. Although the cultivation speed of innate spirit power level 20 was terrifying, it still had its limits. As the head of the angel family, he understood this well. He just didn't know exactly what kind of help the God of Order had given Lin Feng this time. The increase in spirit power for Tianming and the others is also surprising. Although they can't compare to Lin Feng, they are definitely among the top of their peers. Golden Crocodile said with a beaming smile. Over the past 4 months, the spirit power levels of Lin Feng, Tianming, Qianji Yunai, and Qianji Yuqingyan had all improved. They had seen it with their own eyes. Lin Feng's spirit power increase was the most obvious. While Tianming, Qianji Yunai, and Qianji Yuqingyan seemed a bit eclipsed compared to Lin Feng, their speed was not slow at all. It was only because of the existence of a freak like Lin Feng that they themselves felt their cultivation speed was slow. Not at all, Grandpa. Our cultivation speed is still too slow. Look at big brother Lin Feng. In 4 months, his spirit power level increased every once in a while. In contrast, we are truly too slow, Tianming said somewhat dejectedly. Hearing this, Qian Daoyu and the others burst into laughter. Lin Feng was a true freak. His own talent was already incredibly powerful, and with the personal assistance of the God of Order, it was only natural for his spirit power level to rise so rapidly. Otherwise, if Lin Feng had innate spirit power level 20 and the personal help of the God of Order, yet his spirit power didn't increase at a staggering rate, that would be what was truly inexplicable. Let's go, let's go. Let's return to the Hall of Worship first, then we'll talk, Qian Daliu said with a wave of his hand. Subsequently, Qian Daliu and the others brought Lin Feng, Tianming, and the four back to the Hall of Worship. Inside the Hall of Worship, the other worshippers all showed surprised expressions upon sensing the spirit power levels of Lin Feng and the others. Ha 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 tilde it seems these four little fellows have been cultivating very hard at the Spirit Master Academy. When I was their age, I didn't have such a high spirit power level, Lion laughed loudly. Tisk 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 tilde, Light Feather spoke up, this little fellow Lin Feng has only been 4 months since awakening his spirit. Yet his spirit power level has already reached level 30. It's truly shocking. The three little fellows, Tianming, Qianji Yunai, and Qianji Yu Qinyan, aren't bad either. I can see that they have been cultivating hard. After all, with a little freak like Lin Feng around, if they don't work hard, the gap will only get wider and wider. Green Phoenix said in a deep voice. They were very satisfied with the spirit power increases of Lin Feng, Tianming, Qianji Yunai, and Qianji Yu Qinyan over these 4 months. In fact, all the worshippers were very satisfied. These four were all future titled Douluos of their spirit hall. Especially Lin Feng, who held a god's inheritance. Once his spirit power reached level 90, he could begin the Order God's trial. Upon completing all the trials, he would become a new God of Order. They didn't know the full extent of the God of Order's power, but they knew that any god named after Order must be incredibly powerful. Because no matter where it was, if Order did not exist, everything would fall into complete chaos and gradually head toward collapse. Fenger, how do you feel after using the Constitution Enhancement Potion? Qian Daliu asked. It feels very good. There's a slight increase in my constitution, though it's not very obvious. Grandpa, is this Constitution Enhancement Potion made from whale glue? Lin Feng asked. Of course, with the power of our spirit hall, it's no problem at all to remove the side effects of 100-year whale glue and turn it into a potion. 1000-year whale glue is a bit more troublesome, but after this period of research, it will only be a few more months before it can be put into use. According to our research, even if 100-year whale glue is taken long-term and improves the constitution, it won't reach the level of being able to absorb a 1000-year spirit ring. However, if it's 1000-year whale glue, long-term consumption can allow one to reach the level of absorbing a 1000-year spirit ring, Qian Daliu said, stroking his beard. If it were 10,000-year whale glue, the effect would be very obvious, but the side effects are not easy to remove. It's much more difficult to remove the side effects of 10,000-year whale glue, though it's not a major problem. Regardless, their spirit hall has plenty of time. They would figure it out sooner or later. At that time, they would witness the appearance of a new generation of spirit masters in Spirit Hall, where every single one of them had their first and second spirit rings at the 1000-year level. It's just a pity that Tianming and the others didn't make it in time. Otherwise, their first spirit rings could have reached the 1000-year level as well. What a shame. Lin Feng nodded slightly. Whale glue itself had an aphrodisiac effect that extended duration. In the eyes of those nobles, this wasn't a side effect at all, but a treasure for extending time. As men, they all understood. But Spirit Hall was different. They wanted to make this available to all spirit masters. If the side effects weren't removed, spirit masters would have some reservations when taking it. Grandpa Angel, do you think we can use 1000-year whale glue before our spirit power reaches level 20? Can our second spirit ring reach the standard for absorbing a 1000-year spirit ring? Qianji Yunei asked. Yeah, Grandpa Angel, if we reach level 20 and it hasn't been researched yet, or if it has but short-term use isn't enough to let our second spirit ring reach the 1000-year limit, won't we be losing out big time? Tianming said. Ha ha ha, Qian Daliu laughed, his gaze sweeping over Tianming, Qianji Yunai, and Qianji Yu Qinyan. Don't worry, your second spirit rings will definitely be able to reach the 1000-year level. Don't have any worries, have faith in the speed and efficiency of those researchers. Hearing this, Tianming, Qianji Yunai, and Qianji Yu Qinyan finally breathed a sigh of relief. Since their first spirit rings weren't 1000-year ones, they had already lost out big time. If their second spirit rings also failed to reach that level, they would have nowhere to go to cry about it. Chapter 73, Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well, Growth Type 10,000-Year Spirit Ring. Qian Daliu's gaze fell upon Lin Feng. Stroking his beard, he said calmly, since Fenger's spirit power level has already reached level 30, how about Grandpa personally takes you to the Stardew Great Forest tomorrow to hunt for a spirit ring? Upon learning that Lin Feng's spirit power had reached level 30, Qian Daliu had already decided to take him to the Stardew Great Forest early tomorrow morning to hunt for a spirit ring. He just wondered if that God of Order would grant Lin Feng another God-bestowed 10,000-year spirit ring this time. Furthermore, one that would grow alongside his strength. However, he believed that such a treasure, a spirit ring so shocking that it could evolve with a spirit master's power, wouldn't be given away easily even by the God of Order. Hunt for a spirit ring. Lin Feng rubbed his chin. Ding, God level choice activated. Please make a choice according to your will, host. God level choice 1. According to your plan, you should head to the Sunset Forest to secure the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well. Refuse to go to the Stardew Great Forest to hunt for a spirit ring and tell Qian Daliu you want to go to the Sunset Forest instead. Reward, 1 growth type 10,000-year spirit ring. God level choice 2. Agree to go to the Stardew Great Forest to hunt for a spirit ring and ultimately hunt a 1000-year level spirit ring. Reward, 1 10,000-year spirit bone, 1 God bestowed 10,000-year spirit ring. God level choice 3. Go to the Stardew Great Forest. No way. Go to the Sunset Forest. No way. What kind of garbage choices are those? Choose to go to the far north to hunt for a spirit ring. Reward, 10,000-year spirit ring, 10,000-year external spirit bone. Lin Feng looked at the choices on the light screen and was slightly stunned. God level choice 1 was right. According to his plan, he indeed needed to head to the Sunset Forest. He could take advantage of the spirit ring hunt to take control of the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well. This kind of opportunity could only realize its true value in the hands of Spirit Hall. As for God level choice 2, it looked decent with a 10,000-year spirit bone and a God bestowed 10,000-year spirit ring, but unfortunately that God bestowed ring wasn't a growth type 1. Although the reward looked good, it couldn't even compare to choice 1. The final God level choice 3 was even less likely to be chosen. Why go all the way to the far north? Although his spirit didn't have rigid requirements for spirit rings, to be honest, the reward was a bit underwhelming. The value of a growth type 10,000-year spirit ring far exceeded the combined rewards of choices 2 and 3. Now that his spirit power had reached level 30, the years of his first and second spirit rings had already increased, though it wasn't very obvious yet. In the future, it was only a matter of time before these 2 spirit rings became 100,000-year spirit rings. Choice 1, Lin Feng replied. Seeing Lin Feng not responding, Qian Daliu was somewhat puzzled but said nothing. Grandpa, he just said he hopes I go to the Sunset Forest to hunt for a spirit ring. Lin Feng looked at Qian Daliu with a solemn expression, speaking without his heart skipping a beat or his breath hitching. Schrodinger's god was indeed very useful. Did he say anything else? Hearing this, Qian Dalu's expression changed drastically as he inquired. The other enshrined priests also turned serious upon hearing Lin Feng's words. They all knew that the god of order doted on Lin Feng, even going as far as directly using divine power to increase the years of Lin Feng's spirit rings. They wondered what instructions the god had this time. Grandpa, he said that in the Sunset Forest, there is a place called the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well. A large number of spirit grasses and medicinal herbs grow around it. Among them, the highest medicinal immortal grade spirit grasses are of great benefit even to titled Douluos. He hopes I go to the Sunset Forest and take control of the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well myself. He said this place was originally a treasure land formed after the deaths of the Water and Fire Dragon Kings in ancient times. Spirit grasses and medicinal herbs planted there will have their growth time greatly reduced, and the effects of the immortal grade spirit grasses within are even more potent, without any side effects. Lin Feng answered. Hiss, Qian Dalu sucked in a breath of cold air and said, the Sunset Forest actually has such a magical place. These so-called immortal grade spirit grasses actually work on titled Douluos. One must know that at their level, let alone ordinary spirit grasses, even the extremely expensive medicinal herbs in Spirit Hall had negligible effects after consumption and did nothing to increase their strength. Yet the herbs growing in the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well actually worked on them. This was simply too shocking. Yes, Grandpa, he said that if this place is in our hands, my cultivation speed will increase again after I consume the immortal grade spirit grasses. Spirit Hall will also become increasingly prosperous because of the existence of the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well. Moreover, such a natural top-tier medicinal garden can only realize its true value if it's in the hands of our Spirit Hall. He also said that after I successfully absorb a spirit ring this time, he will grant me another growth type 10,000-year spirit ring, doing his best to increase my strength so I can start his god's trial sooner and complete the trial's content, Lin Feng said calmly. This, Qian Dalu's eyes widened. Was Lin Feng really not the illegitimate son of the god of order? Otherwise, why would he go to such lengths for Lin Feng? No god would do this much for their successor. If the angel god had treated him like this when he started the angel god's trial back then, wouldn't he have inherited the angel god position long ago? Truly, comparing people leads to death, but comparing gods leads to even more death. The god of order could go to such lengths for Lin Feng, it was impossible not to be envious. If the angel god had given him even a little bit of care during his trial, would the Heaven Do Empire or Star Luo Empire even exist now that he had become a god? Since he said so, then let's go to the Sunset Forest. He's right about the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well being a treasure land, it indeed should be in the hands of our Spirit Hall. Only our Spirit Hall can push its value to the limit, Qian Dalu said with a beaming smile. Lin Feng was simply the lucky star of their Spirit Hall. How could he have known back then when he took him as a god grandson that this boy would be the successor of the god of order? Furthermore, the god of order looked after Lin Feng so well, and Lin Feng in turn would give back to Spirit Hall. Is this what a god is? Tian Ming, Qian Ji Yunehi, and Qian Ji Yu Qinyan couldn't help but have this thought as they listened to the conversation between Qian Dalu and Lin Feng. Giving away 10,000-year spirit rings and even including a top-tier medicinal garden was beyond their imagination. At the same time, they realized that the gap between them and Big Brother Lin Feng was truly an unbridgeable chasm. Behind Big Brother Lin Feng stood a god. Chapter 74, a new cultivation method. But even if we obtain a treasure land like the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well, we wouldn't recognize those so-called immortal grade spirit grasses, would we? I'm afraid there aren't even any records of such immortal grade spirit grasses in our Spirit Hall, Golden Crocodile said. Although that god told them about the treasure land of the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well, he knew clearly that there might not be any records of immortal grade spirit grasses in the Spirit Hall. At least, he didn't know of any, nor had he ever seen such information within the Spirit Hall. Furthermore, he had never heard any information regarding immortal grade spirit grasses from across the continent. Hearing this, Qian Dalu furrowed his brows. Golden Crocodile was right. Even if they secured the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well, they wouldn't recognize the immortal grade spirit grasses. They weren't spirit masters who cultivated spirit grasses and medicinal herbs in a garden. When it came to other matters, they might be able to speak endlessly with exhaustive knowledge, but their reservoir of knowledge regarding spirit grasses and medicinal herbs was truly limited. Whether the Spirit Hall even had records of immortal grade spirit grasses remained an unknown. Grandfather, you don't need to worry. He said that there are records in our Spirit Hall. It's just that immortal grade spirit grasses have never appeared on the continent, so those records have been gathering dust. But he said that in our Spirit Hall, there is an elder Jew whose spirit is the Jade Spirit Heaven connecting chrysanthemum. It is exactly one of the immortal grade spirit grasses from the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well. Moreover, this person has some knowledge of immortal grade spirit grasses. If we find him, perhaps he will know more about them. Lin Feng said with a smile. Chrysanthemum Douluo. Qian Dalu nodded slightly. Chrysanthemum Moonpass's spirit was a plant spirit. Although he had managed to cultivate and become a titled Douluo, and a rank 95 titled Douluo at that, he was only one step away from entering the gates of a peak Douluo. However, this single step had barred his way for many years. Even today, he was still stuck at rank 95. Qian Dalu was well aware of Chrysanthemum Moonpass's background. Really, I'll go ask Chrysanthemum Moonpass right now. Zhongmo stood up immediately, and the others did not stop him. Grandfather Zhongmo, when you go, say that you have information about the immortal grade Jade Spirit Heaven connecting chrysanthemum. Tell him to head to the Sunset Forest early tomorrow morning to see the Jade Spirit Heaven connecting chrysanthemum, and ask him if he truly understands all the information regarding immortal grade spirit grasses. Lin Feng said. In truth, he wasn't entirely sure if the other party recognized all the immortal grade spirit grasses. He himself only knew a few of them and couldn't identify them all. If Chrysanthemum Moonpass knew them all, that would naturally be the best outcome. If he didn't know them all, Lin Feng would just have to wait for a choice reward related to immortal grade spirit grasses to appear later. He would secure the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well first and then plan his next move. Zhongmo nodded and left the Hall of Worship. Since these immortal grade spirit grasses are effective even for titled Douluo, I wonder how much of an effect they have. I've been stuck at rank 97 for a long time. I wonder if these immortal grade spirit grasses can help me break through this bottleneck. Qingluan said with a smile. Most of them were stuck at a certain rank, unable to progress. At the same time, because of their increasing age, their potential was almost completely exhausted. Otherwise, given that Gold Crocodile Douluo was clearly much older than Qian Dalu, he wouldn't be stuck at rank 98 without moving. Indeed, we've been stuck at these ranks, completely stagnant, Lion Douluo lamented. Over the years, although they had cultivated diligently, their spirit power ranks remained motionless without any sign of loosening. Even if there were, they lacked the ability to break through and shatter this bottleneck. Grandfathers, he just told me that immortal grade spirit grasses are also of great benefit to titled Douluo experts. If you find an immortal grade spirit grass that is compatible with you and absorb it completely, you might gain the opportunity to break through your current realm. Lin Feng said in a low voice. Was there such a thing? Perhaps there was. Perhaps there wasn't. He wasn't sure either, but the effects of immortal grade spirit grasses were undeniable. They were indeed very beneficial even to titled Douluo. As for whether they could help Gold Crocodile Douluo break through his bottleneck to become a Super Douluo, or help Azure Luan Douluo, Lion Douluo, Light Feather Douluo, and the others break through their bottlenecks to increase their spirit power ranks. That was still an unknown, he didn't really know. Hearing Lin Feng's words, they were instantly energized. This was an opportunity to break through their bottlenecks. In their decades of bitter cultivation, they had never had such an opportunity. Ha 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 tilde. Qian Daliu looked at his old brother's excited expressions and burst into laughter. If it can truly help them break through their bottlenecks, then our Spirit Hall's foundation will become even more terrifying, especially Golden Crocodiles. Peak Douluo and Super Douluo are two completely different realms. If Golden Crocodile becomes a Super Douluo, then our Spirit Hall will possess two Super Douluos. We will suppress every power on this continent. They had thought this was already the greatest surprise Lin Feng had brought them, but it wasn't over yet. Lin Feng spoke up at this moment. Grandfather, there's actually one more thing I need to tell you. Hearing this, Qian Daliu was slightly taken aback and asked kindly, what is it, Fenger? Lin Feng was now the Spirit Hall's treasure and the key to whether the Spirit Hall could advance further in the future. He would agree to any request Lin Feng had, and he was even thinking of kidnapping his own granddaughter and giving her to Lin Feng. It's like this, grandfather. Some time ago, as he spoke, Lin Feng rubbed his head and said wryly, Grandfather God of Order thought I was cultivating too slowly, so he bestowed a cultivation technique upon me. I asked Grandfather God of Order if I could give it to the Spirit Hall. He said yes. A cultivation technique, Qian Daliu murmured. In stories concocted by some folk writers, there were so-called martial arts manuals, but none existed in the world of spirit masters. The mainstream method was meditation, and the speed of meditation depended on the level of one's innate spirit power. The higher a person's innate spirit power, the faster their subsequent cultivation speed. This was common knowledge on the continent. As for creating a cultivation technique, it was not that easy. Moreover, true geniuses, due to their extremely high innate spirit power, would not waste time creating techniques to increase cultivation speed. At most, they would research self-created spirit abilities based on the characteristics of their own spirits. In the past, he had tried to create new methods to increase cultivation speed, but unfortunately there was no progress. It was as if something was obscurely restricting him from establishing a new cultivation method. Fenger, tell me more, Qian Daliu said with a smile. Since it was given by the God of Order, it was naturally extraordinary. He was deeply moved that Lin Feng was willing to bring it out for the Spirit Hall. After all, this was something bestowed by God. Chapter 75, an astounding increase in cultivation speed. Grandfather, the cultivation technique that Grandpa God of Order gave me is called the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique. Practicing this technique can enhance the physical body and even mental strength. At the same time, if the 12 meridians and the 8 extraordinary meridians are all cleared, one by one, the speed of meditation cultivation will increase by 10% for each meridian cleared. At most, it can increase cultivation speed by 200%. If all 12 meridians and 8 extraordinary meridians are cleared, one will obtain a Divine Soul Body. The Divine Soul Body can enhance a Spirit Master's physical strength and automatically consume spirit power to recover from injuries whenever the Spirit Master is harmed. As long as it's not an instantaneous injury like a severed head, arm, or leg, one can recover quickly, greatly enhancing a Spirit Master's combat capability. Grandfather, think about it. If the Spirit Masters in our Spirit Hall all practice this technique, the future would be. Lin Feng said solemnly. The Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique was a top-tier cultivation method provided by the system, perfectly suited for Spirit Masters. Its primary ability was to increase cultivation speed. If someone with innate full spirit power increased their meditation cultivation speed by 200%, breaking through bottlenecks would be as easy as piercing through thin paper. What? A 200% meditation cultivation speed? It can actually increase cultivation speed by 200%. Qian Daliu said in shock. He hadn't misheard, had he? An increase of 200% in meditation cultivation speed. Hearing this, all the enshrined priests gasped. This was a 200% increase in cultivation speed. Not 2%, not 20%, but a full 200%. Was this a joke? If it were true, how fast would the cultivation speed of someone with innate full spirit power become? Yes, grandfather, I have been practicing this technique for a while now and have cleared 4 of the 12 meridians. My cultivation speed has increased by 40%, and the effect is very significant. Furthermore, this technique has no rigid requirements. As long as one is a spirit master, they can practice it. Also, if grandfather wants to split it up, it can be done. The method for clearing the 12 meridians and the 8 extraordinary meridians is different for each one. It can be split into 20 parts, Lin Feng said with a smile. In the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique, the cultivation and clearing methods for each of the 12 meridians and the 8 extraordinary meridians were completely different and distinct. If split, without the subsequent cultivation methods, it would be impossible to continue practicing, and similarly, impossible to obtain the Divine Soul Body. Hiss, Qian Daliu's eyes burned like torches as he looked at Lin Feng as if looking at some kind of treasure. He never expected the cultivation technique the God of Order gave Lin Feng to be so powerful. Even without other special abilities, a 200% increase in meditation cultivation speed. This alone was enough to treat it as a supreme treasure. This was a 200% increase in cultivation speed. If they had obtained this Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique when they were young, not just him, but everyone else could have reached the realm of a rank 99 Super Douluo. This technique is actually so incredible, it truly is something granted by a god. Golden Crocodile said in horror. A 200% increase in meditation cultivation speed was unimaginable. The most crucial part was that there were no rigid requirements. As long as one was a spirit master, they could practice it. For their spirit hall, this was simply a supreme treasure, a foundation second only to the angel god. No, perhaps in some aspects, its true value might far exceed that of the angel god. As long as Spirit Hall possessed this, even if it declined for a period in the future, as long as a single Spirit Master with innate full spirit power appeared, they could lead Spirit Hall to restore its former glory. Things like the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well, Natural Medicine Gardens, or Immortal Grade Spirit Grass didn't even have the right to carry the shoes of this Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique in the eyes of these old fogies. Compared to the so-called Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well, the strength the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique brought to Spirit Hall would grow day by day. Qian Daliu's body trembled as he looked at Lin Feng and asked, Fenger, do you truly intend to give this to our Spirit Hall? Lin Feng nodded and said with a smile, of course. Otherwise, why would I say so much, grandfather? Besides, this thing doesn't seem that important to Grandpa God of Order, so he also agreed to let me give it to more people to practice. In any case, no matter how many people practice the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique, the speed at which their spirit power level grew would never catch up to his. His greatest opportunity wasn't the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well or the Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique, but the system. As long as the system was there, he would obtain even more powerful things in the future. Brother Lin Feng, you mean we can also practice this Divine Soul Body Tempering Technique? Tian Ming's eyes shone. That was a 200% increase in meditation cultivation speed. They were all beings with innate rank 9 spirit power. The level of innate spirit power. Determined one's future cultivation speed. Adding the divine soul body tempering technique in its 200% meditation speed increase was like adding wings to a tiger. Of course, they also knew that even if they obtained the divine soul body tempering technique, it would be almost impossible to keep up with brother Lin Feng. They would get a 200% increase, but their brother Lin Feng would get it too. Moreover, the cultivation method for this divine soul body tempering technique was something brother Lin Feng had taken the initiative to provide. They couldn't imagine how terrifying the cultivation speed of brother Lin Feng, who had an innate spirit power level of 20, would be after another 200% increase in meditation speed. Of course, this divine soul body tempering technique has no rigid requirements. Furthermore, Grandpa God of Order said that the divine soul body obtained at the end of the cultivation can be comparable to a divine body if one's spirit power level reaches rank 90. Of course, it's only comparable, the gap between them is still quite massive. Lin Feng said calmly. The term, divine soul body, contained the word, divine. As long as spirit power wasn't exhausted, the spirit master wouldn't die. If the spirit power level was high enough and there was enough spirit power, it could be achieved. It was just a bit difficult. For someone like Qian Daoliu, he could indeed achieve what that sentence described. Qian Daoliu's own power was already extremely strong. Moreover, he had undergone the angel god's trials, and his strength had reached the peak demigod realm. With the addition of the divine soul body tempering technique, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say he was invincible in this world. As he spoke, Lin Feng took out the cultivation method for the divine soul body tempering technique that he had written over the past few days and handed it to Qian Daoliu, saying with a smile, "Grandfather, this is the cultivation method for the divine soul body tempering technique. Grandpa God of Order imprinted it directly into my mind using a special technique. I wrote this over the last 2 days based on the cultivation method in my mind. After several checks, there are absolutely no problems." Chapter 76, A Terrifying Cultivation Method. Qian Daoliu's hands trembled as he took the booklet from Lin Feng. As he flipped to the first page, his expression changed drastically. He murmured, "To think such a marvelous cultivation method exists in this world. This must be the mighty power of a god. Only a true god could create such a wonderful method." Qian Daoliu quickly flipped through the booklet to get a general understanding. This divine soul body tempering technique was a cultivation method created based on all the acupoints and meridians of the human body. Moreover, only spirit masters could practice it. As for the so-called divine soul body obtained at the end, it was actually a special ability possessed after clearing all the acupoints, the 12 standard meridians, and the 8 extraordinary meridians. The more he read, the more shocked Qian Daoliu became. He felt that the sheer brilliance of this technique was beyond his understanding. Years ago, he had also tried to develop new cultivation methods that could increase the cultivation speed of spirit masters. To that end, he had consulted a vast amount of data in Spirit Hall. Despite his efforts, he never succeeded, as if something in the dark was obstructing the creation of a new method. In the end, he had no choice but to drop the matter. Yet, the cultivation style of this divine soul body tempering technique was simply indescribable. If a regular meditation method compared a spirit master's body to a furnace and was the simplest form of utilization, then this divine soul body tempering technique expanded the furnace and utilized it more exquisitely, pushing it to the absolute limit. The so-called 200% cultivation method was not the limit of the technique itself, but the limit of a spirit master's physical body. The maximum increase in meditation cultivation speed one could achieve was 200%. Hiss, Qian Daoliu sucked in a breath of cold air and placed the book into his spirit tool. He looked at Lin Feng with burning eyes. This wasn't just a god grandson, this was Spirit Hall's cornucopia. Every time the God of Order brought something out, this little fellow would use it to give back to Spirit Hall. Seeing Qian Daoliu's burning gaze, Lin Feng giggled, not minding it at all. The stronger Spirit Hall became now, the fewer obstacles there would be for the unification of the continent in the future. Besides, Qian Daoliu had said that he would be the future Supreme Pontiff. It might have been a bit unstable before, after all, Qian Runshui was still there. But now that he had brought this out, wasn't his position as the future Supreme Pontiff secure? There was also the ice and fire yin yang well. Increasing the overall strength of Spirit Hall now meant increasing the limit of the forces he could mobilize in the future. Unifying the continent would become much easier. When he first arrived in this world, he didn't feel much about this obsession with unification. But ever since Qian Daoliu mentioned he would serve as the Supreme Pontiff of Spirit Hall in the future, he found a certain thought stirring within him, the thought of unification. This continent was divided and ruled by two great empires. He didn't know why, but he simply wanted to wipe them both out. Perhaps this was the obsession of a Chinese person. When one has no power, they settle in a corner, but when they have power, what are two great empires? Wouldn't that be a betrayal of Mr. Chen? Unification, unification, it was a matter of urgency. It must be unified. High Priest, how is this divine soul body tempering technique? The other priests asked at this moment. Qian Daoliu scanned the crowd and then burst into hearty laughter. His clear laughter echoed throughout the hall of worship. Incredible, truly incredible, to think such an exquisite cultivation technique exists in this world. It is a method beyond our understanding. Perhaps only a god could create such a technique. Its mysteries can only be known by those who have seen it. Qian Daoliu laughed loudly. The other priests looked at one another. So, what exactly was the cultivation method? They wanted to know too. They wanted to see exactly how exquisite this cultivation technique was. This technique can absolutely be honored as a supreme treasure of our Spirit Hall. It will be the foundation for Spirit Hall to remain undecayed for 10,000 or even 100,000 years. However, we must split it into 10 parts, divide it into 10 levels. Only the true high-level members of Spirit Hall may practice the complete technique. Qian Daoliu said calmly. This was something that had to be done. Otherwise, if the complete cultivation technique were given out and someone betrayed Spirit Hall to bring it to another power, it would be aiding the enemy. Only those who truly earned the trust of Spirit Hall, and even became high-level members in the truest sense, could practice the complete technique. The other priests nodded one after another, agreeing with the High Priest's decision. There was nothing wrong with this approach. Although it would mean losing some percentage of cultivation speed, preventing the full divine soul body tempering technique from being exposed was the most important thing. What about us? What about us, Grandpa Angel? Tianming and the others asked. Qian Daoliu said with a smile, you will, of course, have the complete version of the cultivation technique. His positioning for Tianming and the others was very clear. They were to be like the priests of Lin Feng's era, just like his own current model. By the time Lin Feng became the Supreme Pontiff, if Tianming and the others were strong enough, they would become the new priests of Spirit Hall after the current ones passed away. Naturally, they could practice the complete version, and the earlier they practiced the complete divine soul body tempering technique, the greater their future achievements would be. Yay, Tianming and the others danced with joy. Fenger, you haven't seen your parents for several months, you must miss them dearly, right? When you go back this time, remember to give the complete version of the divine soul body tempering technique to your parents. With their talent, plus this technique and the resources of Spirit Hall, in a few more years, our Spirit Hall might see 2 new titled Douluo experts. Qian Daoliu said, stroking his beard. The technique was brought out by Lin Feng, so his parents should naturally practice the complete version. Besides, Lin Feng's parents had very good talent. Now, with the addition of the divine soul body tempering technique, becoming titled Douluos was only a matter of time. In other words, as long as no accidents occurred, Lin Feng's parents were destined to become titled Douluos eventually. The divine soul body tempering technique simply moved that timeline forward. Alright, Lin Feng nodded slightly. To be honest, after not seeing his father and mother for 4 months, he did miss them quite a bit. Tomorrow morning, I will take you to the Sunset Forest to hunt for a spirit ring, Qian Dalyu instructed. Lin Feng, Tianming, and the others left the Hall of Worship. Once outside, Tianming jumped up in excitement. Big brother Lin Feng, a 200% cultivation speed. With this boost, isn't it only a matter of time before we surpass Sister Nana and the others? Tianming said excitedly. They didn't have the confidence to surpass big brother Lin Feng, but they were completely confident in surpassing Huliana and the others. With the complete version of the divine soul body tempering technique and a 200% increase in cultivation speed, wasn't it inevitable? That is natural, Lin Feng said with a slight smile. Chapter 77, Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum. Elder Ju, Zhang Mo said with a smile, his hands clasped behind his back as he watched Chrysanthemum Moon Pass watering the flowers. Chrysanthemum Moon Pass placed the watering can on the ground and bowed respectfully to Zhang Mo. 7th Consecrated, I wonder what business brings the 7th Consecrated to see your subordinate. Under normal circumstances, a consecrated would never leave the Hall of Worship. Now that the 7th Consecrated of the Hall of Worship had come to find him, there must be something important. It couldn't possibly be for mere small talk, as he wasn't well acquainted with the 7th Consecrated. Elder Ju, I have heard that your spirit is the Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum. I wonder if that is indeed the case, Zhang Mo said calmly, stroking a fresh flower. Hearing this, Chrysanthemum Moon Pass was slightly taken aback. It was no secret that his spirit was the Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum, but only he knew that his spirit was not an ordinary Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum, but the Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum. Otherwise, he would never have been able to cultivate to the title Douluo realm. The Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum. What does the 7th Consecrated mean by that? Chrysanthemum Moon Pass asked tentatively. If the other party knew about the Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum, did he also have information regarding it? Zhang Mo smiled faintly and said, I have heard that Elder Ju has been searching for the so-called Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum. I wonder if, besides that, Elder Ju has any information on other Immortal Grade Spirit Grass or Spirit Medicines. This was the most crucial point. He wasn't sure if the other party knew about other Immortal Grade Spirit Grasses or if he could even identify them. If he only recognized the Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum, he wouldn't be of much use to them. Upon hearing this, Chrysanthemum Moon Pass did not hide anything and replied, the 7th Consecrated is correct. Your subordinate has indeed been searching for the Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum. This spirit grass is of vital importance to me. I discovered it in the ancient records of the Spirit Hall. Besides the Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum, there are many other Immortal Grade Spirit Grasses mentioned. Back then, because I was looking for the Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum, I did my homework on the subject. But unfortunately, it was of no use. Immortal Grade Spirit Grass seems to exist only in legends, it doesn't seem to exist in the real world. After saying this, Chrysanthemum Moon Pass sighed. Even relying on the power of the Spirit Hall, he hadn't been able to find where Immortal Grade Spirit Grass was or where it might exist. He had almost given up, but his spirit, the Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum, told him otherwise. Immortal Grade Spirit Grass definitely existed. It existed in this world, he just hadn't found it yet. After more than a decade of diligent searching without any information, he could only set the matter aside for the time being. Does Elder Ju mean that this Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum is truly useful to you? But you are already a titled Douluo, Zhang Mo asked. Chrysanthemum Moon Pass shook his head slightly and said, the 7th Consecrated might not be aware, but the reason these Immortal Grade Spirit Grasses have the word immortal in them is that they have almost transcended the category of ordinary spirit herbs. Even someone as strong as a titled Douluo would find that absorbing a suitable Immortal Grade Spirit Grass would be of great benefit to their own improvement. Take me, for example. If I find and absorb the Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum, my spirit will become even more powerful. At the same time, it is possible for me to break through my shackles and become a peak Douluo. Even if I cannot achieve it in the short term, it would only be a matter of time. But that was exactly the problem. He didn't have the Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum. He wanted to find it but didn't know where it was. Over the past decade or so, he had searched many places, but none had the Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum. In other words, if Elder Ju finds the Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum and absorbs it, becoming a peak Douluo is only a matter of time. Zhang Mo said, rubbing his chin. If the 7th Consecrated understands it that way, then that is correct. Chrysanthemum Moon Pass did not deny it. He had been stuck at the rank 95 realm for some years now. To break through the bottleneck by relying solely on his own strength was completely impossible. He could only rely on external help, and that so-called external help was the Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum. His potential had already been cultivated to its limit. Only by obtaining this Immortal Grade Spirit Grass and consuming it could he take a step further. Then, does Elder Ju want to know information regarding the Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum? Zhang Mo stared at him. Upon hearing these words, Chrysanthemum Moon Pass's expression froze, and his pupils suddenly contracted, yet he remained calm and said with a smile, as the 7th Consecrated teasing me. Your subordinate has never completely given up on searching for Immortal Grade Spirit Grass over the years. But even so, your subordinate still hasn't found where the so-called Immortal Grade Grass actually is. 7th Consecrated, please do not joke and tease your subordinate. This matter isn't funny at all. But if the 7th Consecrated truly knows. Chrysanthemum Moon Pass looked at Zhang Mo suspiciously. Did the other party really know? Or was he just teasing him? A person of his status would have no reason to be so idle as to come and tease him. This is information that our Hall of Worship has just obtained, and it is very accurate. Among them is your so-called Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum. However, we do not know the true effects of these Immortal Grade Spirit Grasses or which Spirit Master they are suitable for. So, is Elder Ju interested in coming along? Zhang Mo said calmly. Is what the 7th Consecrated says true? Chrysanthemum Moon Pass was astonished. Of course it's true. There might be many Immortal Grade Spirit Grasses in that place. Zhang Mo nodded. Your subordinate is willing to go with you. However, when the time comes, can you give your subordinate 2 stalks of Immortal Grade Spirit Grass? Chrysanthemum Moon Pass said, cupping his hands toward Zhang Mo. 2 stalks of Immortal Grade Spirit Grass. The Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum is yours, and as for the other one, I suppose you intend to give it to Elder Gui. Zhang Mo said with a smile. Elder Gui and Elder Ju, these 2 elders of the Spirit Hall, were both ranked 95 and were both stuck at this level. At the same time, the 2 of them had a very good relationship and were always seen together whenever they were deployed. They also possessed a rare martial soul fusion skill, the unrivaled stillness domain. Even their high priest, the Sky Douluo, would be affected by the unrivaled stillness domain, which showed just how powerful their martial soul fusion skill was. This is, after all, a martial soul fusion skill performed by titled Douluos. Chrysanthemum Moonpass did not deny it. If there really was an immortal grade spirit grass suitable for Old Gui, he naturally hoped to bring it to him. After all, the other man was also stuck at this level, and they were close friends. There was no reason not to try and secure a stock of immortal grade spirit grass that could allow a spirit master's realm to advance further. That is certainly possible. I shall promise you on behalf of the high priest. Remember to come to the hall of worship tomorrow morning to head to that place. After John Mo finished speaking, he left. Once John Mo had departed, Chrysanthemum Moonpass could no longer hide the joy on his face. That was the immortal grade spirit grass he had been bitterly waiting and searching for, the Jade Spirit Heaven connecting Chrysanthemum. With the immortal grade Jade Spirit Heaven connecting Chrysanthemum, it would only be a matter of time before he became a peak Douluo. Chapter 78. Setting out, Sunset Forest. The next morning, Chrysanthemum Moonpass arrived at the hall of worship. High priest. Chrysanthemum Moonpass bowed to the high priest before him. He hadn't expected this titan of spirit hall to actually leave the hall of worship. Could it be because of those so-called immortal grade spirit grasses? No, as useful as those things might be, they shouldn't be enough to stir the person before him. The high priest nodded slightly toward Chrysanthemum Moonpass. Chrysanthemum Moonpass, demon subduing has already explained things to you. Next, we are going to the so-called Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well. There are many immortal grade spirit grasses there. Since we do not understand such things, I have brought you along with me. The Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well, is that the place where a large number of immortal herbs grow? Chrysanthemum Moonpass thought to himself. The demon subduing priest had only told him there was information regarding many immortal grade spirit grasses but hadn't mentioned the exact location. Now, he had learned it from the high priest's mouth. The place where a large number of immortal grade spirit grasses grew was actually the so-called Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well. But what kind of place was that? Why had he never heard of it? Was it because no one had ever discovered it before? Demon subduing promised you that you could take 2 immortal grade spirit grasses. This is what you deserve. We will set out for the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well in a moment, Qian Daliu said indifferently. He was waiting for Lin Feng to return. Originally, he had planned to go pick up Lin Feng himself. However, when Lin Feng left yesterday, he sent someone to inform him that he would come to the hall of worship on his own early this morning. Then, they would head to the Sunset Forest to find the so-called Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well. Hearing this, Chrysanthemum Moonpass nodded slightly. Facing this titan of Spirit Hall, he still felt a great deal of pressure and was very restrained. After all, the other party was the most powerful existence in Spirit Hall, a level 99 Super Douluo who had been famous for a long time. His current strength was even more unfathomable. Just standing there, he exerted an immense pressure on others. Just who was the high priest waiting for? Chrysanthemum Moonpass wondered. In the entire Spirit Hall, there didn't seem to be anyone who could make the high priest wait in person. Even their supreme pontiff had to be respectful when meeting the high priest. Despite the fact that they currently took orders from the supreme pontiff, if the high priest issued an order, its priority would be higher than that of the supreme pontiffs. Grandpa, Lin Feng walked over and, seeing Elder Ju, greeted him with a smile. Elder Ju, this is our second time meeting. The first time they met was during the Golden Class Soul Master competition. At that time, Elder Ju was following behind the supreme pontiff, though he had only watched Lin Feng from a distance. Chrysanthemum Moonpass cupped his hands toward Lin Feng and said, His Highness the Holy Sun. So this was the person the high priest was personally waiting for. During their first meeting, he hadn't recognized Lin Feng as the Holy Son of Spirit Hall. Or rather, he only knew the Holy Son's name and spirit characteristics, but wasn't sure what he actually looked like. It wasn't until Lin Feng released his spirit that he realized this was indeed the Holy Son personally appointed by their supreme pontiff back then. Furthermore, that mysterious Holy Son, the owner of the god-level martial soul, the Seraphim, had not even been present at the ceremony. Fenger's spirit power level has already reached level 30. Next, we will go to the Sunset Forest to help Fenger hunt for a spirit ring. The Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well is located within the Sunset Forest, Qian Daliu said indifferently. They could help Lin Feng hunt for a spirit ring along the way. The Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well is inside the Sunset Forest. This, Chrysanthemum Moonpass was astonished. Years ago, in his search for the immortal grade Jade Spirit Heaven connecting Chrysanthemum, it wasn't as if he hadn't gone to the Sunset Forest, but he hadn't found it. Perhaps it was because he hadn't searched carefully enough. After all, the Sunset Forest was not small. To search it thoroughly would take a considerable amount of time. However, at the thought that he was about to obtain the immortal grade Jade Spirit Heaven connecting Chrysanthemum he had sought in vain for all these years, he could hardly hide his excitement. This was something that concerned his future. His potential was almost exhausted, yet he still showed no signs of breaking through his bottleneck. And the immortal grade Jade Spirit Heaven connecting Chrysanthemum was the key to breaking that bottleneck. His Highness the Holy Sun, this is indeed our second meeting. During the first, the subordinate did not recognize your Highness. If not for your Highness releasing your spirit, I'm afraid it would have taken quite some time before I knew your identity, Chrysanthemum Moonpass said with a smile. Lin Feng nodded slightly. The other party was right. Although the upper echelons of Spirit Hall knew exact information about the Holy Sun, without having seen his appearance or spirit, it was difficult to truly confirm. For instance, if he stood before certain cardinals right now, they wouldn't recognize him either. Only when he pulled out his Holy Sun token would they realize that the person standing before them was the Holy Sun of Spirit Hall. Let's go, Grandpa. We're in a hurry. Sunset Forest shouldn't be too far from our location, Lin Feng said, coming to Qian Daliu's side with a smile. Of course, as he spoke, Qian Daliu directly released his spirit avatar. An angelic phantom held the two of them in its hands and flapped its wings. With a whoosh, it flew toward the horizon, leaving Spirit City in the blink of an eye. Chrysanthemum Douluo followed closely behind Qian Daliu. His speed was also very fast, but ultimately he could not outpace Qian Daliu, and the distance between them grew further and further. Grandpa, aren't we going to wait for Elder Ju? Lin Feng asked, unable to resist as he watched Chrysanthemum Moonpass's figure falling further behind. No need, we can just wait for him at the Sunset Forest, Qian Daliu said indifferently. The High Priest truly lives up to his title as the Sky Douluo, the one invincible in the sky. In this continent, there probably isn't anyone who can surpass the High Priest's speed, Chrysanthemum Moonpass remarked with emotion as he followed behind. The feeling the High Priest gave him was that even if he used his full strength to fly, his speed wouldn't even be a fraction of the others. The distance would only keep widening until the High Priest completely vanished from his sight. Such speed was possessed only by their High Priest. Phew tilde, Lin Feng took a deep breath as he looked at the forest ahead. They had set out in the morning and arrived at the Sunset Forest before evening. Even though this was the second time Qian Daliu had taken him to hunt for a spirit ring, he still couldn't help but marvel at how fast Qian Daliu was. To say he was the fastest man on this continent would not be an exaggeration. Grandpa, let's wait for Elder Ju here. Only he recognizes those immortal grade spirit grasses. Even if we go over now, it would be useless, Lin Feng spoke up. Qian Dalyu nodded and landed on a mountain peak, quietly waiting for Chrysanthemum Moon Pass. But until the sun went down, Lin Feng waited until his patience wore thin, yet he still saw no sign of Chrysanthemum Moon Pass. Chapter 79. Grandpa, gods are actually quite idle. Just as Lin Feng was about to fall asleep from waiting, he finally saw Yu Guan rushing over from the horizon. Yu Guan landed in front of Qian Dalyu, dropped to one knee, and cupped his hands, saying, "Please forgive me, High Priest. Your subordinate has arrived late and kept you waiting. It is truly because the High Priest's speed is too great. Even with my full effort, I cannot match even a fraction of it." In the beginning, he could barely keep up with the High Priest's speed, but as time passed, let alone keeping up, he couldn't even see the High Priest's shadow. The High Priest's speed was unrivaled on this continent. No matter, Qian Dalyu waved his hand. "It's getting late. We will stay overnight in a village near the Sunset Forest and enter the forest tomorrow morning." Yu Guan naturally had no objections. The three of them found a nearby village, paid gold coins, and stayed for the night. When the morning sun rose, they left the village and arrived at the Sunset Forest. "Fenger, the spirit ring I intend to hunt for you this time is from a holy light spirit snake. What do you think?" Qian Dalyu said, looking at Lin Feng beside him. "Holy light spirit snake," Lin Feng said calmly. "Grandpa, my spirit has no rigid requirements for spirit beasts. As long as I absorb a spirit ring, the spirit ability I obtain will be the one that fits me best. So, I will follow your arrangements, Grandpa. As for the age of the spirit ring, there are no requirements either. Anyway, Grandpa God of Order will eventually help me increase the age of my spirit rings, directly overriding the original age and turning them into growth-type spirit rings." His spirit had no requirements for the attributes of the spirit ring. It could be said that as long as the spirit beast was of a suitable age, it could become his spirit ring and grant him the most suitable spirit ability. Having no rigid requirements saved them time in searching for spirit beasts. Regarding the age of the spirit ring, the age he could currently absorb far exceeded that of spirit masters of the same level. Based on his current physical strength, by the time his spirit power level reached the rank of spirit ancestor, he could directly absorb a 10,000-year spirit ring. Unfortunately, since he had growth-type spirit rings, there was no need to pursue higher age rings. Even if the spirit power increase would be greater, it was negligible. In the end, a growth-type 10,000-year spirit ring would directly override the original one. Hearing this, Qian Dalyu nodded slightly and couldn't help but praise. Fenger's spirit is truly special. It has no rigid requirements for spirit rings. You should know that finding a spirit ring that perfectly matches a spirit master's spirit is very difficult. Yet, no matter what spirit ring Lin Feng's spirit absorbed, he would directly obtain the most suitable one. This completely defied common sense. Absorbing a plant spirit ring to obtain a light attribute spirit ability with holy properties was bizarre no matter how you look at it. Furthermore, the dark angel form would directly grant spirit abilities rich in dark and corrosive attributes, which was simply incomprehensible. Yu Guan, following behind the two, was incredibly nervous. Was this something he was allowed to hear? Was this something he should know? He swore that he could never reveal what he learned today, even to the Supreme Pontiff, he could not tell him. Otherwise, his life would be over. Elder Ju, you must not speak of what you heard today, do you understand? Otherwise, I believe you know the consequences, even if you are a titled elder of our spirit hall. Qian Dalyu spoke in a calm tone, but it carried an endless chill. Lin Feng's uniqueness was so extreme that they felt he shouldn't even exist on this continent. If word got out, given that Spirit Hall was already in a very awkward position, the appearance of someone as special as Lin Feng would lead to predictable results. High Priest, please rest assured. Your subordinate heard nothing, your subordinate knows nothing, Yu Guan said hurriedly, breaking into a cold sweat. Qian Dalyu returned to his kind appearance and smiled at Lin Feng, saying, "Fenger, does he have anything else to instruct?" Lin Feng shook his head. "No, Grandpa God of Order said he would contact me proactively if there's anything. If I have any issues, I can also contact him." Honestly, creating this non-existent Schrodinger's god was definitely his wisest decision. Anything could be pushed onto this Schrodinger's god. Let this non-existent god take the blame. No matter what he did, no one would suspect him. Just like now, when he gave the divine soul body tempering technique to Qian Dalyu and the others. If it weren't for the existence of this Schrodinger's god, he wouldn't have known how to explain where he got the technique if they asked. The same logic applied to the matter of the ice and fire. It wouldn't stand up to scrutiny, any questioning would expose him. With that non-existent god, it was different. If you say it's impossible, are you questioning a god? Or do you think the god is wrong and you were right? Are you more impressive than a god? It was such a simple logic. No, Fenger. If there's anything you don't understand, you can tell Grandpa. You must never disturb His Excellency, do you understand? If we encounter something that even our spirit hall cannot solve, it won't be too late to seek His Excellency then, Qian Dalyu urged. I know, Grandpa, but it's always His Excellency who contacts me, saying I'm cultivating too slowly and wondering when I'll ever inherit his divinity. He guides my cultivation from time to time. It seems the god is quite idle. Lin Feng rubbed his chin, seemingly reminiscing. Qian Dalyu looked bewildered. Could a god really do so much for a successor? He had suspected more than once that Lin Feng was the other's illegitimate son, but that was impossible. Look at the god of order, then look at his angel god. Back then, the angel god didn't pay him any mind at all. It was like following fixed rules to conduct the god's trial. He hadn't even communicated with the angel god. Perhaps Fenger's arrival at our spirit hall comes with some kind of mission, Qian Dalyu comforted himself. Comparing Lin Feng's treatment to his own back then, the sense of disparity was obvious. If the angel god back then had even half the concern the god of order had for Lin Feng, he would have already completed the 9 trials of the angel and become the new angel god. The Heaven Do Empire and Star Luo Empire would have already become history. Qian Dalyu didn't know how to answer this question. To say the god of order wasn't idle. He constantly urged Lin Feng to cultivate. To say he was idle. Was that something he was allowed to say? So he simply didn't answer and acted as if he hadn't heard Lin Feng's words. Chapter 80. Sacred Light Shield, Dark Devour. As for the so-called slow cultivation, that was only considered slow by the god of order. One must realize that from the time Lin Feng awakened his spirit until now, only half a year had passed, yet his spirit power level had already reached a staggering level 30. After obtaining a spirit ring, his spirit power level would reach level 31, making him a spirit elder. At this age, there have been very few people throughout history who could reach such a level. No, it shouldn't be said that there were few, but rather that it had never happened before. Lin Feng was the only person who could become a level 31 spirit elder at the age of 6. Zhu Yuguan was breaking out in a cold sweat, his heart trembling with fear as if he were sitting on pins and needles. Was this something he was allowed to hear? It seemed the Holy Son's divinity inheritance wasn't that of the angel god, but the so-called god of order inheritance. He looked at the grandfather and grandson in front of him. Fortunately, the high priest didn't seem to mind that he had overheard such a secret. Soon, the three of them entered the sunset forest. Inside, the trees blotted out the sky. Sunlight filtered through the gaps, casting mild patterns on the ground. In denser areas where the sun couldn't reach, only the blue-silver grass emitted a faint glow. Before long, Qian Daoliu brought back a 1,000-year level holy light spirit snake. At this moment, the snake was completely unconscious, and its age wasn't high. Regardless, since he had the growth type 10,000-year spirit ring bestowed by the god of order, the actual age of the spirit beast wasn't that important. Fenger, kill it and obtain the spirit ring. Qian Daoliu pinned it to the ground and spoke to Lin Feng. Lin Feng nodded, summoned the holy sword of order, and pierced through the holy light spirit snake with one strike. A moment later, a purple 1,000-year spirit ring slowly appeared over the snake's corpse. Immediately, he released his spirit, channeled the spirit ring, and began to absorb it. Meanwhile, Qian Daoliu and Zhu Yuguan stood guard for Lin Feng to prevent any blind spirit beasts from wandering in and disturbing his absorption or causing an accident. With the experience of absorbing his first and second spirit rings, his speed in absorbing this third one was even faster than before. Half an hour later, Lin Feng had completely absorbed the 1,000-year spirit ring, but it didn't end there. System, use the growth type 10,000-year spirit ring, Lin Feng thought to himself. Immediately, the third spirit ring, which was originally at the 1,000-year level, underwent a sudden change. It shifted from purple to a shimmering obsidian black, gradually transforming from a 1,000-year spirit ring into a 10,000-year spirit ring, a truly shocking occurrence. This, Zhu Yuguan said in shock. So it turned out that Lin Feng's ability to possess two 10,000-year spirit rings as a spirit grandmaster wasn't because he absorbed two of them, but because his 1,000-year rings transformed into 10,000-year ones. How exactly was this done? Could it be because of the power of a god? Only the power of a god could achieve something so inconceivable. He had clearly absorbed a 1,000-year ring, yet a moment later, it had become a 10,000-year ring. This change happened in an incredibly short amount of time. No need for surprise. This is all the power of a god. Fenger was able to possess two 10,000-year spirit rings before because of divine power, and it is the same this time. However, you must not speak of this matter to anyone, understood? Qian Daoliu said indifferently. Hearing this, Zhu Yuguan said respectfully, this subordinate naturally understands. Tell someone. It was impossible for him to speak of it. Aside from the consequences, he knew that if he ever breathed a word, the high priest would truly kill him. The high priest was capable of such things. If anyone dared to betray Spirit Hall, he would absolutely execute them. Even for Her Majesty the Supreme Pontiff, he could not tell her without the high priest's consent. Fenger, how is the spirit ability? Qian Daoliu asked. At this moment, three menacing black spirit rings floated beneath Lin Feng's feet. Sensing the effect of his third spirit skill, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. This third spirit skill wasn't a buff or an attack skill, but a defensive one, and its defensive effect was excellent. Grandfather, the third spirit skill of my holy light angel is Sacred Light Shield. Upon activation, I can summon a shield condensed from pure holy light and divine power. It can block physical and energy attacks, and even reflect a portion of the damage. While the Sacred Light Shield is active, my spirit power recovery speed increases by 40%. Furthermore, this skill is even more effective against dark and evil spirits. Lin Feng introduced it with a smile. The skill was quite good. As a defensive type, it could block both physical and energy attacks. Moreover, the effect would strengthen as the age of the spirit ring increased. One could only imagine what it would be like at the 100,000-year level. It is a good skill. However, for a defensive skill to appear after absorbing a snake-type spirit, this spirit of yours really defies logic, Qian Daoliu remarked with emotion. Fenger, what about your spirit's other form? Zhu Yuguan. This also seemed to be something he shouldn't know. The secrets of the Holy Sun before him were truly massive, staggeringly so. He even felt a bit of regret for coming here, knowing these things put a lot of pressure on him. Grandfather, the third spirit skill of my dark angel form is Dark Devour. It creates a dark vortex in front of me that can completely absorb all energy attacks and convert them into my own consumed spirit power to recover, or transform them into pure dark power to launch a counterattack. It carries a corrosive effect and is most effective against light and holy spirits. Hearing this, Qian Daoliu frowned. To be honest, he didn't like the dark angel form. He couldn't help it. While the holy light angel had no negative effect on him, as soon as Lin Feng released the dark angel, he would feel a suppression coming from a higher tier spirit. It was the absolute suppression of a dark attribute angel. Even though he was a level 99 super Douluo and Lin Feng was currently only a spirit elder, the influence of the spirit was unavoidable. Hearing the effects of the dark angel form's spirit ability, he couldn't help but frown. The spirit ability under this dark angel form is also very good. Dark Devour. It certainly lives up to the word, devour, being able to completely reflect energy attacks. Qian Daoliu nodded in affirmation. No matter how much he disliked the dark angel form, the spirit abilities were very direct and powerful. Whether it was this third skill or the first and second, the effects were all very formidable. Grandfather, I think so too. If I face those elemental spirits, won't they just have to stand there and take a beating? Lin Feng said with a chuckle. Chapter 81, Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well. If I encounter an elemental attack, I can switch directly to the dark angel form and release the third spirit ability. Not only will the attack fail to cause damage, but I can also absorb your damage and convert it into my own spirit power, or transform all your damage into dark attribute damage and reflect it back completely. It's quite shameless. While the spirit abilities in the holy light angel form are relatively normal, the spirit abilities in the dark angel form are simple, brutal, and extremely practical. Qian Daoliu smiled faintly without saying a word. Was it outrageous? Not really. Having a 10,000-year spirit ring as the third ring felt normal to him now, let alone the spirit ability. A spirit elder with 3 10,000-year spirit skills, who would believe it if word got out? The god of order truly is generous. Chrysanthemum Moon passed round and thought to himself, I didn't expect Lin Feng's holy light angel martial soul to have a second form, the dark angel form, and a completely different set of spirit abilities at the same time. This is simply inconceivable. What he learned today was even more shocking than everything he had known in his entire life. Without starting the god's trial, he directly possessed 10,000-year spirit rings, his own spirit had a second form, and most importantly, he had another set of completely different spirit abilities. A spirit with 2 forms, holy light angel and dark angel. No matter what spirit ring is produced by the spirit beast absorbed, he will obtain the spirit ring that fits him best, and it results in 2 completely different sets of spirit rings. His innate spirit power is level 20, and he even has a god position to inherit. The most crucial thing is that this god truly treats him as a successor. Without even starting the god's trial, he can bestow a 10,000-year spirit ring. If the god's trial were to actually begin, it's unimaginable what he might obtain. What was happening before his eyes was shattering his original worldview. At 6.5 years old, a spirit elder with 3 10,000-year spirit rings, in the past, this was something he wouldn't even dare to imagine. It was absolutely impossible for any spirit master to reach this level at such an age. His spirit power level had reached level 30, and he had 3 10,000-year spirit rings. This defied all common sense. But when a god intervenes, what is common sense? Common sense is meant to be broken, and it was being washed away time and again along with his original worldview. To become a titled Douluo, his talent was already extraordinary compared to ordinary spirit masters. But compared to this boy, extraordinary talent, it seemed like he was the ordinary spirit master instead. Grandpa, let's go to the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well. I know its location, Grandpa Order told me in detail. Shall we head straight there? Lin Feng put away his spirit and said to Qian Daoliu. Let's go. Qian Daoliu came to Lin Feng's side, grabbed him by the collar and spoke indifferently. Lin Feng guided the way for Qian Daoliu. 2 titled Douluos and 1 spirit elder traversed through the sunset forest. Wherever they passed, spirit beasts fled in all directions like startled birds, thanks to the aura released by Qian Daoliu and Chrysanthemum Moon Pass. In the eyes of those low-level spirit beasts, these 2 were monsters of the spirit beast world. It was like a mouse meeting a cat. They ran if they could, let alone showing any hostility toward the 2. Grandpa, it's right there. That's the place Grandpa God of Order mentioned. It's definitely there. I can't be wrong. Lin Feng pointed to the canyon below and said quickly, fearing Qian Daoliu might overshoot the location. Qian Daoliu stopped before the canyon. Looking at the green mist before him, he frowned and said, this place is a bit strange. This green poison mist is definitely not naturally formed, it's man-made. Could it be that this place already has an owner? With his years of experience, he could easily tell that the spirit power remaining in this poison mist was not something that could be formed by nature. Or rather, it was absolutely impossible for nature to form such a large-scale poison mist, only a person could do it. Arriving late, Chrysanthemum Moon Pass looked at the spreading poison mist and thought, the spirit power lingering in this poison mist feels a bit familiar. It seems like that old poison's, yet not quite. How strange. Could the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well belong to that old poison? His relationship with Du Gubo wasn't particularly good, but they were familiar with each other, and he understood the other's poison-making methods. The poison mist before him felt like it had been set up by that old fellow. But if it really was his doing, then wouldn't the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well belong to him? Fenger, are you sure this is the place? Qian Daoliu asked. I'm sure. Grandpa, this is the place Grandpa God of Order spoke of. Lin Feng nodded. The rewards from the system included a precise location. Besides, even without a precise location, as long as one was in the Sunset Forest, finding the poison mist would allow them to determine the approximate location of the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well. This was the foresight of a transmigrator. But how vast was the Sunset Forest? Even knowing that, without a precise location, finding the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well would still be quite troublesome. Qian Daoliu released his spirit power to form a barrier, enveloping the 2 of them as they headed into the poison mist. A barrier condensed from the spirit power of an ordinary spirit master could never withstand such poison mist, but unfortunately for the mist, this was a barrier created by rank 99 Peerless Douluo. Its effect even surpassed some 10,000-year defensive spirit abilities. Chrysanthemum Moon Pass followed suit, staying close behind Qian Daoliu. After entering the poison mist, it only took a few steps for the 3 of them to fully enter the canyon. To think that such a place exists in the Sunset Forest, nature truly is miraculous, Chrysanthemum Moon Pass said with emotion, looking at the crystals on both sides. The red and blue crystals emitted strange points of light, bringing brightness to the dim surroundings. Years ago, when he was searching for the immortal grade jade spirit heaven connecting Chrysanthemum, it wasn't that he hadn't been to the Sunset Forest, but he was certain that he had never been to this specific place, a place he had never set foot in before. And here, the very immortal grade jade spirit heaven connecting Chrysanthemum he needed was growing. At this thought, he felt a pang of regret. The immortal grade jade spirit heaven connecting Chrysanthemum was right here in the Sunset Forest, yet he had missed it. If he had searched carefully back then and obtained it, he would have already been a peak Douluo instead of a titled Douluo stuck at rank 95 for many years. Before long, a spring appeared ahead. This spring took the form of a split pot with ice on the left and fire on the right. This was the so-called Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well. Grandpa, this is the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well. It's just as Grandpa God of Order said, ice and fire coexist. Surrounding it are the spirit grasses and medicines grown in the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well, including immortal grade spirit grasses and medicines. Lin Feng said with a smile upon seeing the well. This place is a massive opportunity. Immortal grade spirit grasses are useful to him, and they are equally useful to the titled Douluos of the Spirit Hall. By absorbing immortal grade spirit grasses, the strength of Spirit Hall's titled Douluos can be raised to a whole new level. Chapter 82, Immortal Grade Jade Spirit Heaven Connecting Chrysanthemum. That's the immortal grade jade spirit heaven connecting Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum Moon Pass's eyes widened as he cried out in surprise. He stepped forward to stroke the immortal grade jade spirit heaven connecting Chrysanthemum. This was something he had sought in vain, and now that it appeared before his eyes, he treated it like a precious treasure. And the immortal grade fragrant silk tulip, the immortal grade octagonal mysterious ice grass, the immortal grade infernal apricot, the immortal grade 8-petal immortal orchid, the immortal grade coxcomb phoenix sunflower, the immortal grade lustrous tulip, the immortal grade 9th grade purple ganoderma, and so many immortal grade spirit grass, so many immortal grade spirit grass. At this moment, Yu Guan felt as if he were bathing among immortal grade spirit grass, dancing about in a near frenzied state. He had only ever seen these immortal grade spirit grass in books. Seeing them before him now, he even thought he was dreaming. Now, not only had he seen the so-called immortal grade jade spirit heaven connecting Chrysanthemum, but also many other immortal grade spirit grass. He found it hard to believe the scene before him. This place was simply a paradise for immortal grade spirit grass. How could such a place exist in the world? A single type of immortal grade spirit grass would be of great benefit to a spirit master, even for a titled Douluo expert. And before him, there weren't just a few, there were over a dozen immortal grade spirit grass here. Furthermore, even the remaining spirit herbs were no ordinary specimens. Here, the immortal grade spirit grass with the weakest effect would be considered a top-tier resource in any other sect. This was a natural, top-quality medicinal garden. This place was a natural, top-quality medicinal garden. Is the power of these immortal grade spirit grass really that great? Qian Daoliu didn't quite understand why Yu Guan would lose his composure so much after arriving at the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well. Grandpa, you wouldn't understand. Grandpa God of Order said that for a compatible titled Douluo expert, these immortal grade spirit grass have the effect of breaking through bottlenecks. And Elder Ju has probably been stuck at this rank for quite some time now, Lin Feng said with a smile. Yu Guan's natural talent and potential had already been completely exhausted by the time he reached the rank of 95 titled Douluo. Without external help, it would be impossible for Yu Guan to reach the next rank. Even after another dozen years, he would still be at this rank. One could imagine how important the immortal grade jade spirit heaven connecting Chrysanthemum was to him. Without the immortal grade jade spirit heaven connecting Chrysanthemum, it would be nearly impossible for him to break through the bottleneck and become a peak Douluo. Perhaps after several more decades of cultivation, there might be a chance, but unfortunately, time waits for no one. In his original fate, he never broke through that bottleneck to become a rank 96 peak Douluo before he died. Do you recognize all the spirit grass and medicinal herbs here? Qian Daoliu asked. He recognized some of these spirit grass and medicinal herbs himself, but less than 10%. He was completely ignorant of the rest. He didn't know which of these herbs were beneficial to spirit masters, which were poisonous, or which were the so-called immortal grade spirit grass. Hearing this, Yu Guan gradually calmed down, realizing he had lost his composure just now. He cupped his hands toward Qian Daoliu and said, High Priest, your subordinate lost his composure just now. I hope the High Priest will forgive me. Your subordinate recognizes all of these spirit grass and medicinal herbs. He felt fortunate in his heart, fortunate that he had seriously studied books regarding immortal grade spirit grass and medicinal herbs in the past, and had also read a vast number of other spirit herb books. He might not recognize every single herb around the ice and fire yin yang well, but he knew 99% of them. Regarding the effects of the spirit grass, which were beneficial to spirit masters, which were not, and which were poisonous, he could be said to know everything and would hold nothing back. Qian Daoliu nodded and said, Zhongmo promised you that you could take 2 immortal grade spirit grass. You may take the 2 immortal grade spirit grass here that you have your eye on. Thank you, High Priest, Yu Guan said gratefully. Immediately after, he took out jade boxes specifically designed for storing immortal grade spirit grass. He had prepared these yesterday for this very purpose. He had originally thought he brought too many jade boxes, but now it seemed it wasn't many at all. It was a good thing he had made sufficient preparations yesterday. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to take all of these immortal grade spirit grass back today. If immortal grade spirit grass are not harvested using special techniques and stored in special jade boxes, but are instead harvested violently, more than half of their medicinal properties will be lost, greatly reducing the effect of the immortal grade spirit grass itself. To prevent this problem, one must first have specialized jade boxes and a solid understanding of these immortal grade spirit grass. Yu Guan first carefully harvested the immortal grade jade spirit heaven connecting chrysanthemum and placed it into a jade box. Next, he harvested the immortal grade netherworld orchid. This immortal grade spirit grass had no effect on ordinary spirit masters and was even poisonous, but for a spirit possessor like Wei Mei, it was simply the most compatible spirit grass. The immortal grade jade spirit heaven connecting chrysanthemum was his opportunity to break through his bottleneck, and the netherworld orchid was Wei Mei's opportunity to break through his. With immortal grade spirit grass available, he certainly wouldn't forget his old friend. The two had established a deep friendship over several decades of knowing each other. They also shared a special martial soul fusion skill. In Spirit Hall, their individual strengths were not the highest, but because of their martial soul fusion skill, they ranked among the best of all the elders. It could be said they shared a relationship where they rose and fell together. High Priest, these are the 2 immortal grade spirit grass I need. The immortal grade jade spirit heaven connecting chrysanthemum is suitable for me, while the immortal grade netherworld orchid is suitable for Wei Mei. Yu Guan placed the 2 jade boxes into his spirit tool. Qian Daoliu nodded slightly, not minding. This was what the Hall of Worship had promised Yu Guan. No matter what immortal grade spirit grass he took or what effects they had, he wouldn't care. This was what the other party deserved. After all, in Spirit Hall, the only one who understood immortal grade spirit grass was Yu Guan. Besides Yu Guan, only the God of Order understood them, but they couldn't exactly go and trouble the God of Order, could they? To this, Lin Feng only wanted to say, His Excellency the God of Order doesn't understand them either. Seeing that Qian Daoliu had no objections, Yu Guan began to harvest the other immortal grade spirit grass, quickly placing them into jade boxes to prevent the loss of medicinal efficacy once they left the soil. Although such loss might be negligible, every bit lost was a huge loss for Spirit Hall. With these immortal grade spirit grass, he could imagine that Spirit Hall would become even more powerful in the future. Not just the elders, but even the priests of the Hall of Worship might have their strength boosted to a new level in a short time after absorbing the immortal grade spirit grass. As for Qian Daoliu, he had already reached the near limit of a spirit master. Even if he consumed an immortal grade spirit grass, the effect would be minimal. For him, the effect of immortal grade spirit grass really wasn't that significant. Moreover, he would need to do that thing in the future, so consuming an immortal grade spirit grass would be a waste. Chapter 83, Douluo Bo. After collecting all the immortal grade spirit grass, Yu Guan's face beamed with a smile. Looking at the countless spiritual herbs and medicines around him, he murmured, This is truly a treasure land. There are actually over a dozen legendary immortal grade spirit grasses here. Why didn't I discover this place back then? If I had found it sooner, why would I have waited until now? There were over a dozen immortal grade spirit grasses, and the other precious and rare spiritual herbs were simply beyond count. Most of these herbs had already gone extinct on the continent. Perhaps only he knew the effects of these immortal grade spirit grasses and medicines. Since the immortal grade spirit grass has been collected, Grandpa, shall we go? Lin Feng asked. Qian Daoliu nodded slightly. Just as he was about to leave, he stopped in his tracks, furrowed his brows, and his eyes narrowed as he spoke. Someone is rushing toward us. Their strength is not weak. It's a title Douluo. Lin Feng was slightly taken aback, thinking to himself, could it be Douluo Bo? What a coincidence that he's back now. I wonder if I can invite Douluo Bo to join Spirit Hall. Solving the defect in his spirit wouldn't be difficult. There were 3 ways to solve the defect of the jade phosphorescent serpent spirit. The first was to completely dissipate the toxins of the jade phosphorescent serpent spirit, but doing so would mean the innate advantages of the jade phosphorescent serpent spirit would be entirely lost, reducing it to an ordinary spirit. Another way was to condense a poison core within the body, but this method only treated the symptoms and not the root cause. The final way was to force all the toxins into a spirit bone, preferably choosing a limb-type spirit bone. Although this also treated the symptoms rather than the root, it was definitely the optimal choice compared to the first 2. It's him. Yu Guan frowned slightly. This aura couldn't be mistaken. He could smell that strange scent from far away. It was definitely Douluo Bo. His guess was correct after all. This medicinal garden likely belonged to Douluo Bo. However, even if it belonged to Douluo Bo, it was useless. The true value of this garden was immense. With Douluo Bo's power, he couldn't protect this place. It was completely impossible for an ordinary level 91 title Douluo to hold on to this location. If he were alone, it would be somewhat difficult to force Douluo Bo to stay. But unfortunately for him, Spirit Hall's high priest was here. Even if Douluo Bo grew wings, he shouldn't dream of leaving. If the other party was sensible and gave this place up voluntarily, then it would be fine. Even though they were being somewhat unreasonable, in the Spirit Master's world, strength was always respected. If anyone was to blame, it was Douluo Bo for his lack of strength while occupying such a treasure land, and for having it without knowing how to use it. It was simply a waste of God's gifts. Who are you people? Why have you appeared in my medicinal garden? A grim voice suddenly rang out as a jade green figure appeared before the 3 of them. Zhu Yuguan. After seeing the faces of the 3, Douluo Bo's gaze locked onto Yu Guan. Old poison, it really has been a long time, Yu Guan said with a beaming smile. Who is the old man next to Zhu Yuguan? Why can't I feel any spirit power fluctuations from him? Could he just be an old man without spirit power? Douluo Bo looked at Qian Daoliu and instantly became cautious. If the other person wasn't an ordinary human, there was only one possibility. The opponent's strength had reached the realm of returning to nature. Even as a titled Douluo, he could not fathom the other's power. Zhu Yuguan, why are you in my medicinal garden, and who are these 2? Douluo Bo asked in an icy tone. He suddenly released his spirit power, and a terrifying aura soared into the sky. Qian Daoliu shielded Lin Feng behind him. Stroking his beard with a smile, he said, Junior, is this ice and fire yin yang well your place? Since that is the case, could you gift it to us? Our spirit hall will not treat you poorly. Seeing the other party call him a junior, Douluo was furious. Junior, I see your age is similar to mine, yet you dare call me a junior. Besides, why should I give this to your spirit hall? What status do you have to dare demand things of me? Tisk 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 tilde. Yu Guan clicked his tongue and stepped aside with a mocking look on his face. Only Douluo would dare speak to the high priest like that. Ignorance is bliss. As a titled Douluo who never joined any faction, Douluo probably didn't recognize the Sky Douluo standing before him. In all these years since I became a titled Douluo, you are the first person to speak to me like this. Douluo glared at him. Oh, Qian Dalyu raised an eyebrow slightly and said with a smile, since I became a titled Douluo, you are the first person to speak to me like this. It seems that after not appearing in the Spirit Master's world for a long time, some people have forgotten our titles. As his words fell, they carried a heavy weight. Qian Dalyu no longer hid himself, and the aura of a super Douluo suddenly erupted. The world instantly lost its color as a massive phantom of a seraphim appeared behind him. A holy light enveloped the entire ice and fire yin yang well. Thud tilde. In an instant, Douluo fell to his knees, looking at the other party in disbelief. The spiritual pressure released was something he simply could not withstand, but what shocked him most was that spirit. It was actually the angel martial soul, the six-winged angel martial soul. Although he had never seen the six-winged angel martial soul, he had heard of the seraphim's power through hearsay. And those who possessed the six-winged angel martial soul were only the previous supreme pontiff of Spirit Hall, Qian Zunji, and the one before him, one of the three great paragons, Qian Dalyu. Qian Zunji died unexpectedly 6 years ago, so now, on this continent, there was only one person who could possess the six-winged angel martial soul. Only one person, one of the three great paragons, the Sky Douluo, Qian Dalyu. Douluo broke into a cold sweat, his eyes twitching. You should have said earlier you were that person from Spirit Hall. There was nothing wrong with the other party calling him a junior. After all, the man was in existence who had almost reached the pinnacle of Spirit Masters, a level 99 titled Douluo. And that was already from a long time ago. Now, Qian Dalyu's strength was likely even more terrifying and unfathomable. Senior, Douluo said with a trembling voice. Qian Dalyu nodded slightly and said, now, are you willing to hand over this ice and fire yin yang well to our Spirit Hall? Ice and fire yin yang well. So this place is called the ice and fire yin yang well. Douluo had a sudden realization, but he still said with some hesitation, but senior, this place is also extremely important to this junior. It is truly difficult to accept. Everyone said Spirit Hall was overbearing, and he used to snort at that, but now that he was experiencing it himself, Spirit Hall truly was overbearing. This was clearly his medicinal garden, yet Spirit Hall just reached out and demanded it with such arrogance. But there was no way around it, he really couldn't win, and he couldn't run. Any other faction would have had to think twice when facing his poison attacks. Chapter 84, Recruiting Douluo. Unfortunately, he had encountered Qian Dalyu. He couldn't win in a fight, and he couldn't outrun him either. The man held the title of Invincible in the sky and was absolutely number one in the continent in terms of speed. Even if she were given 4 more legs, it would be useless. Senior, this place is a treasure land this old man found in his early years. Isn't Spirit Hall's bandit-like behavior a bit too overbearing? Qian Dalyu frowned and said, in other words, you are unwilling to give it to our Spirit Hall. As he spoke, the spiritual pressure increased again. Instantly, Douluo felt as if 2 massive mountains were resting on his shoulders. Gritting his teeth, he forced himself not to make a single sound. Disagree. It wasn't a matter of whether the other party agreed or not anymore. If he agreed, Spirit Hall could give him a dignified way out. If he didn't, Spirit Hall wouldn't bother with dignity. Bandit-like behavior, to possess a treasure land without the strength to back it up. Did he not understand the principle that possessing a jade ring becomes a crime? The Spirit Master's world was a place where strength reigned supreme. Although the other party was a powerful titled Douluo, that only served as a deterrent against ordinary Spirit Masters. Facing a behemoth like Spirit Hall, what did being a titled Douluo matter? Their Spirit Hall had more than 10 titled Douluo. Looking at Douluo kneeling directly on the ground, he felt some emotion in his heart. On this continent, strength truly was everything. If Douluo were also a rank 99 titled Douluo right now, it would be a completely different scene. Unfortunately, there were no ifs. Since senior likes it, then take it, Douluo said with extreme reluctance, his gaze toward Yu Guan filled with malice. Ding, God level choice activated. Please make a choice according to your will, host. God level choice 1. Recruit Douluo to join Spirit Hall and become Spirit Hall's 8th elder. Reward, Douluo's favor, Supreme Poison Art. Gain a growth type 10,000 year Spirit Ring. God level choice 2. The Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well. That should have been Spirit Hall's property all along. Unwilling, then kill. Kill Douluo. Reward, God bestowed 10,000 year Spirit Ring. God level choice 3. Since all immortal grade spirit grass have been obtained, abandon the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well and leave this place. Reward, God bestowed 1,000 year Spirit Ring. Looking at the light screen before him, Lin Feng was somewhat surprised. He hadn't expected Douluo to trigger a god-level choice. This was outside his expectations. Although he had thought about recruiting Douluo, the appearance of a god-level choice was like being handed a pillow just as he was getting sleepy. A god bestowed 10,000 year spirit ring. It's not a growth type ring after all. As for abandoning the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well, that's even more impossible. The value of this place isn't just the immortal grade spirit grass, the remaining spirit herbs and medicines are also treasures. Choice 1. Lin Feng made his selection. Douluo's poison technique was still very formidable. Although the effect wasn't very obvious when facing powerful titled Douluo, he possessed the power to slaughter a city in a short time. This kind of power wasn't something other titled Douluo possessed. Even Qian Dalyu, this rank 99 titled Douluo, was far slower than Douluo when it came to the speed of slaughtering a city. Once a large-scale poison attribute attack was released, ordinary spirit masters would turn into bloody water in an instant. Only powerful spirit masters could escape the disaster. Grandpa, Lin Feng called out. Qian Dalyu asked in confusion, Fenger, what is it? Grandpa, the God of Order said that his strength is decent. Although his spirit has flaws, the God of Order has a way to solve them. If we recruit him into our Spirit Hall, it would also be an improvement to our Spirit Hall's strength. Lin Feng said in a low voice. Qian Dalyu was slightly stunned. He hadn't actually thought about recruiting the man to Spirit Hall. After all, he was at most an ordinary rank 91 titled Douluo, and his spirit had flaws, meaning his potential was already locked. If there were no spirit flaws, he would have wanted to recruit him to Spirit Hall. After all, he was still a titled Douluo. Although their Spirit Hall had a vast foundation, they never refused a titled Douluo joining their ranks. This old gentleman's strength might not be great, but he's an expert at using poison. Grandpa, why don't we consider it? Lin Feng said with a smile. Qian Dalyu smiled and said, since it's what the God of Order said, then we shall try to recruit him. This God of Order really was looking out for his finger in every way. Douluo knelt on the ground, watching the grandfather and grandson converse in low voices, feeling extremely tormented. He really didn't want to hand over the medicine garden, but the situation was forced upon him. The other party was a legendary existence. Today he had only one choice, and that was to hand over the garden. Douluo, since we are taking your ice and fire yin-yang well, are you willing to join our spirit hall and become an elder? Qian Daoliu inquired. Join spirit hall? How was that possible? Putting aside the fact that spirit hall had hunted him in his early years, now they were seizing his garden and even wanted him to work for them. How could such a good thing exist in this world? Moreover, he had long since become a consecrated official of the Heavendo imperial family. How could he join spirit hall? Even though it was to repay Prince Shuixing for what happened back then, he was still a consecrated official of the Heavendo imperial family and had not completely severed ties with them. Senior, this junior is currently a consecrated official of the Heavendo imperial family. I ask for senior's forgiveness as it is difficult to comply, Douluo said with a cupped hand salute. I happen to know that your jade phosphorescent serpent spirit has a massive flaw. If you join our spirit hall, we can help you perfectly solve the flaws of the jade phosphorescent serpent spirit. Qian Daoliu said with full confidence. It was just that spirit hall certainly had no way to accomplish this, but wasn't the god of order here. Since the god of order himself said there was a way to help the other party solve the spirit flaw, the method must be extraordinary. I asked Senior too, what did Senior just say? Douluo's eyes widened. Over the years, it wasn't that he hadn't looked for a way to completely solve the jade phosphorescent serpent spirit's flaws, but unfortunately he hadn't found one. His granddaughter would also become like him in the future, suffering from the backlash of the jade phosphorescent serpent spirit. But now, someone was actually telling him there was a way to perfectly solve the flaws of the jade phosphorescent serpent spirit. How could he not be shocked? Of course it's true. Now, are you willing to become an elder of our spirit hall? Qian Daoliu said with a smile. Yu Guan spoke up at this moment. Old Poison Mist, I know very well the flaws of your jade phosphorescent serpent spirit. You wouldn't want your granddaughter to suffer the same hardships you've endured in the future, right? Join our spirit hall, and that way, both you and your granddaughter can perfectly solve the flaws of the jade phosphorescent serpent spirit. He wasn't sure if spirit hall had a way to perfectly solve the jade phosphorescent serpent spirit's flaws, but since the high priest said so, it wouldn't be a lie. Chapter 85. So, what is your choice? Qian Daoliu withdrew his immense spiritual pressure. Douluo slowly rose, his gaze resolute. He knelt on one knee, bowed to Qian Daoliu, and said, if the spirit hall truly has a way to perfectly resolve the defects of the jade phosphorescent serpent spirit, this junior swears by his spirit to be loyal to the spirit hall, even unto death. He, Douluo, had a defect in his spirit. That he could live until now was partly due to his sheer tenacity, and partly because his moral compass was very flexible. If not for that, how could a spirit master like him, without any backing, have survived until now, safe and sound? Qian Daoliu nodded with satisfaction and said with a smile, in that case, you are now the 8th elder of our spirit hall. Your medallion will reach your hands in a few days. Of course, your identity does not need to be made public. As an elder of the spirit hall, you only need to obey any orders the spirit hall might give. As an elder of the spirit hall, one enjoyed the rights and resources provided by the spirit hall. In truth, there was plenty of leisure time, and normally there were no missions. If there were a mission, it would never involve mobilizing only a single elder. Hearing this, Douluo breathed a sigh of relief. It was better not to make it public. If it were, how would the Heavendo imperial family view him? Although becoming an elder of the spirit hall didn't prevent him from working for the Heavendo imperial family and Prince Shuixing. However, if they found out, it would be extremely uncomfortable for them, and they would certainly have complaints. Once his 3 promised favors were completely used up, he would sever ties with the Heavendo imperial family entirely. At that time, even if the spirit hall made it public, it wouldn't matter. Old Poison, I heard that your granddaughter, Douluo, is at the Heavendo Imperial Academy, right? Since you've agreed to pledge loyalty to our spirit hall, we are now colleagues. As a colleague, I suggest you send your granddaughter to the Spirit Master Academy instead. The resources our Spirit Master Academy possesses are far beyond what other academies can offer, which would be extremely beneficial for your granddaughter's growth. Well, Old Poison, aren't you a little touched? This is a very good suggestion, Chrysanthemum Moonpass said with a sly smirk. Old Fox, Douluo cursed inwardly. Perhaps the peerless expert before him wouldn't care whether his loyalty to the Spirit Hall was sincere, but Chrysanthemum Moonpass was different. If his granddaughter lived in Spirit City and studied at the Spirit Master Academy. If he ever did anything against the Spirit Hall's orders or betrayed them, his granddaughter Douluo would be the first to die. Keeping his granddaughter in Spirit City and enrolling her in the Spirit Master Academy would serve as his pledge of loyalty. Indeed, we are colleagues now. I hope for your guidance, Elder Ju, Douluo said through gritted teeth. My granddaughter will head to Spirit City in a few days. I'll have to trouble Elder Ju then. Seeing Douluo like this and recalling his initial arrogant and unyielding attitude, Chrysanthemum Moonpass felt an indescribable sense of satisfaction. If he could, he really wanted to say, I still prefer how arrogant you were just a moment ago. Of course, Old Poison, rest assured. As an elder of the Spirit Hall, I can handle such a small matter. We should get along well from now on. As he spoke, the corners of Chrysanthemum Moonpass's mouth curled up uncontrollably in a mocking smile. A petty man basking in success. Douluo cursed silently. This was exactly how Chrysanthemum Moonpass felt to him now. In the past, Chrysanthemum Moonpass would have shown him at least basic respect. As for now, hey, the other man was probably laughing at him in his heart. Old Poison, oh Old Poison. Back then, you were hunted by the Spirit Hall. Now, even you probably never imagined you'd join the Spirit Hall and become my colleague. Life is truly unpredictable, Old Poison. Chrysanthemum Moonpass thought gleefully. Douluo ignored Chrysanthemum Moonpass and cupped his hands toward Qian Daoliu, asking, High Priest, may I ask, what exactly is the solution for the Jade Phosphorescent Serpent Spirit's defect? Qian Daoliu looked at him. How could he know the perfect solution for the Jade Phosphorescent Serpent Spirit's defect? Instead of saying so directly, he replied indirectly, when you receive the Spirit Hall Elder Medallion, that will be when you receive the method. Even if he wanted to give it now, he didn't have it. Fenger was the one who said it existed. He wasn't sure what this perfect solution for the Jade Phosphorescent Serpent Spirit's defect was. He wondered what method the God of Order planned to use to resolve the spirit defect this time. If it were a method that treated the symptoms but not the root cause, the Spirit Hall had records of those, but they all had side effects, some even unacceptable to Douluo. He also wanted to know what the perfect solution was. Then this junior thanks the High Priest in advance. Douluo bowed to him. With a perfect solution for the Jade Phosphorescent Serpent Spirit's defect, his granddaughter would no longer have to suffer from the Jade Phosphorescent Serpent poison as she aged and her strength grew. The defect of the Jade Phosphorescent Serpent Spirit was becoming increasingly severe for his granddaughter. His current deep green hair was caused by this defect, even though he had become a titled Douluo and his Jade Phosphorescent Serpent Spirit had evolved into the Jade Phosphorescent Serpent Emperor. The defect still hadn't been effectively improved. Even the method he used to condense a poison core had immense side effects. Douluo, stay here for the next few days. Eventually, people from the spirit hall will come to take over and station themselves here, turning this place into our spirit hall's medicinal garden. Do you understand? Rest assured, High Priest. Before the people from the spirit hall arrive, Douluo will not take a single step away from here, Douluo said, feeling a pang of regret. When he first found this place, he knew it was extraordinary and could suppress the toxins in his body. Although he didn't recognize most of the spiritual herbs and medicines here or know their true effects, he knew they were definitely not ordinary. Over the years, he had been researching the specific effects of these spiritual herbs, but progress was very slow. Until today, with Qian Dalu's arrival, he realized he didn't know the true effects of 99% of these herbs. He was practically a failure as a poison expert. Now that a peerless expert had personally come to the Ice and Fire Yin Yang well, it further proved that this place was truly an unparalleled treasure land. It was just a pity that when he owned it, he hadn't utilized it to enhance his spirit power. Chapter 86, Supreme Poison Art. Now, after absorbing the spirit ring, my spirit power level is 31. Once I absorb the spirit grass that suits me and cultivate for a few more months or a year, my spirit power might reach an astonishing level 40. Still, it seems that my previous thought of reaching Spirit King before the age of 12 was a bit conservative. With innate spirit power level 20, plus the divine soul body tempering technique in the immortal grade spirit grass, if I still can't reach Spirit King by age 12, I might as well find a block of tofu to crash into and die. Lin Feng sighed with emotion. For a spirit master with a lower spirit power level, the first time they consume immortal grade spirit grass, the enhancement effect is greater. Of course, most of the medicinal power will remain in the body, gradually being refined. It won't be completely refined until the spirit power level reaches 70. Before level 70, that residual medicinal power will be absorbed over time, thereby increasing spirit power, much like turning on a small accelerator. Currently, he has extraordinary natural talent, as well as the resources, special techniques, and immortal grade spirit grass from Spirit Hall. He has almost maxed out everything he can possibly do at the moment. In terms of resources, techniques, and opportunities, Tang San is nothing compared to him. Only certain individuals from several eras later could surpass him. As for this current era, even looking back tens of thousands of years, there are probably few who could reach his level. Grandpa, shall we go back? Lin Feng said, pulling on Qian Dalu's sleeve. Let's go. Qian Dalu grabbed Lin Feng by the collar, finished giving instructions to Douluo, and left directly with Chrysanthemum Moon Pass. They finally left. Douluo's tense nerves gradually relaxed, and he breathed a complete sigh of relief. Looking at the several missing spirit grasses in the medicine garden, he murmured, the true value of this Ice and Fire Yin Yang well, could it be far beyond my imagination? Otherwise, why would an old freak like him leave Spirit Hall to come here? Thinking that in the future, the Ice and Fire Yin Yang well would no longer belong to him, Douluo felt a twinge of regret. Although he didn't know the true usage of these spirit grasses, it was impossible not to feel pained and humiliated by handing them over like this. Fortunately, Spirit Hall has a way to perfectly solve the flaws of the Jade Phosphorescent Serpent Spirit. Since he didn't know how to use this place anyway, he hasn't exactly lost out, has he? Fenger, what did the God of Order say? What is that so-called method to solve the flaws of the Jade Phosphorescent Serpent Spirit? Qian Dalu looked at Lin Feng and couldn't help but ask. Although Douluo's strength is at the bottom among titled Douluos, and he even carries the title of the weakest titled Douluo, I must say his poison is extremely formidable. In terms of large-scale lethality, all the grandpas in the Hall of Worship tied together wouldn't be as good as Douluo. Therefore, Grandpa God of Order suggested that if possible, I should recruit him into Spirit Hall to serve us. Such a talent is a complete waste of potential outside, serving our Spirit Hall would better utilize his abilities. He might even play an unexpected role in the future, Lin Feng said with a chuckle. Acting out this one-man show was indeed a bit tiring. This, Grandpa God of Order, Nonsense and Schrodinger's God, were certainly handy to use, but he always felt a sense of guilt. After all, deceiving the old man like this felt a bit wrong. As for the method to perfectly solve the flaws of the Jade Phosphorescent Serpent Spirit that Grandpa is concerned about, it's actually simple. Grandpa God of Order said that as long as the person can perfectly control the toxins in their body, they can solve it once and for all. However, achieving this is extremely difficult. There is a difference between finally controlling the toxins in one's body and finally controlling spirit power. Qian Dalu nodded slightly. That was true. When the spirit's own toxins harm the user, the only way to solve it once and for all without abolishing the poison is to achieve extremely fine control over the toxins within the body so they don't cause self-harm. But how difficult was that? So, what exactly is that method? Seeing Lin Feng keeping him in suspense, Qian Dalu couldn't help but urge him. He really wanted to know what method the God of Order had bestowed. If Douluo could use it, could others in Spirit Hall use it too? Lin Feng said with a smile, Grandpa, don't be in such a hurry. The method Grandpa God of Order mentioned is actually very special. He knows that finally controlling toxins is extremely difficult for a spirit master, so he bestowed a technique upon me. This technique can solve the problem perfectly. A technique. Hearing those two sensitive words, Qian Dalu's eyes instantly widened like copper bells. He couldn't help but ask, what is the effect of this technique? Tell me quickly, Fenger, you're killing me with suspense. This technique is called the Supreme Poison Art. It has 9 levels in total. The first level can increase the damage of poison attribute spirit abilities by 10% and grant 10% poison damage reduction. Following this pattern, by the 9th level, poison attribute damage can be increased by 90%, and one can also obtain a special physique. It is called the Supreme Poison Body. The effect of this physique is immunity to all poisons. One could say that currently, no toxin can harm the owner of this physique. A spirit master with this physique can be immune to 99% of poison damage. At the same time, anyone can cultivate this technique. Even those who do not possess a poison-type spirit can practice it to increase poison resistance and immunity. Once they become a titled Douluo and the Supreme Poison Art reaches the 9th level, they can obtain the Supreme Poison Body and become immune to all poisons. Lin Feng explained. The main functions of this Supreme Poison Art are these two, increasing poison damage and increasing poison resistance. His tilde, Qian Dalu gasped and said, this is another earth-shattering technique. Although it's not as good as the Divine Soul Body Tempering technique, if one cultivates this, it would be a disaster for spirit masters who use poison. It's not wrong for Grandpa to think that way. A spirit master who reaches the 9th level and obtains the Supreme Poison Body is indeed a disaster for those who use poison. Lin Feng said, stroking his chin. In the future, once he opens all 12 meridians and the 8 extraordinary meridians, increasing his physical strength and obtaining the Divine Soul Body, and now adding the Supreme Poison Body, it seems he will no longer have any weaknesses. In terms of spirit, he has the Divine Soul Body Tempering technique. In terms of physique, he has the Divine Soul Body Tempering technique and eventually the Divine Soul Body. The only thing missing was the poison attribute, and now he has the Supreme Poison Body. In the future, he will be an all-around melee mage.